Hey, what is going on, guys? Happy Sunday to you. Hope you're having an incredible weekend with you and your family. Got a great show for you tonight. We're going to have a lot of fun.
I mean, you guys may have fun. I might just continually have panic attacks, so it's fine.
We are literally just a few days away from M-Wave.
Every time he does this, my blood pressure goes up. Every time. I think he does it intentionally.
I asked him, I said, how you feeling, man? He's like, I'm good. And I put this up there and he's like, now I'm starting to sweat. But it's happening, man. We're super pumped. I know you guys have been asking some questions already about M-Wave. And so I dropped some information in the chat. And so, man, we're on a holiday weekend. A couple of days, we'll be celebrating 4th of July if you celebrate that in the area that you're at. But fortunately, the podcast fell a couple of days before that, so we could still do this and not interrupt family time. So Jessica and I are going out to the beach for 4th of July. Just go hit that. There's a place called Lido Beach on the West Coast. So it's got a really beautiful beach. And then there's a place we can kind of walk down and there's like a shopping center. So she always likes to go there and we'll grab something to eat and hang out there. And then we head home. So what are you guys doing for 4th of July? Any plans?
I think we're going to like a smaller town parade.
Okay, cool.
That's really all I know.
Yeah.
Our neighborhood's like a war zone. So the last couple of years, we just go outside. There's people shooting off. It looks like commercial fireworks in our, in our neighborhood. It's wild.
Where I used to live, it was you couldn't see across the street from all of the smoke haze that was coming in. You couldn't see anything on the opposite side. It was just a big wall. So
what about you, Kyle?
We kind of already had ours last night, like our Smithville fireworks show was last night, and then we got together with our neighbors, had some fun out there, had a not a mortar, but one of the multiple shot fireworks fell off the center block that they decided to set it on and pointed towards us and went off in the garage and everyone went running. So that was a fun time. It's like those videos you see on the internet where everyone starts grabbing kids and running. So that was fun. But I think
you see that one
a little bit more Tuesday.
Did you see that one just recently? Where there's a couple kids, they go out into the street and it's from the point of view is from the house. And it's like probably like a security camera. And so
is it the one where it starts blowing up the back of the van?
I haven't seen that.
Dude, it was like it wasn't that bad, but I mean it was like stuff was flying everywhere and people just ran like that.
Hilarious.
Yeah, that one's huge.
A couple kids got what was funny though is there was one where there was a lady, she was doing a voiceover. And she's like, y'all don't need to be letting them kids mess with them fireworks, and they go out there and light them. And then it kind of shoots off the one direction and it ends up hitting the box with everything in it.
Oh man.
And then it just started launching.
Well, maybe that was planned.
Oh my gosh, dude. That was hilarious, dude. But yeah. Keeping Up with the Joneses, Tristan, he said he saw that one too, man. I was dying. I had to watch it a couple times. Super, super funny. But yeah, that's no joke, man. Fireworks can mess you up if they start shooting in the wrong direction.
I got a question for you, Kyle. I went out to Smithville fireworks display years ago. We had an old 1960s pleasure boat at the time, and we were out on the lake, and that was awesome.
Yeah.
The Blue Springs one we went to last night as a family because it was also last night, and it was really toned down. Was your Smithville one toned down this year, or was it full scale?
So honestly, we were in a neighborhood that we could kind of see it, and they had so much going on in the cul-de-sac that we didn't even leave. I did have a drone that I took up and kind of was like looking that way, but it didn't look, I mean, Grim, we weren't there watching it, but it didn't seem like as big as it was in the years past. So I can't say I wasn't there, but
I don't know if inflation was hitting us or what, but ours was like only 15 minutes long. And my wife and I asking the whole time, like, is this just the neighborhood shooting stuff off, or is this the big city one, or the big 80,000 people in town? Is this the city one, or is this the neighborhood? We couldn't even tell. So that was
that's
kind
bad.
of disappointed.
Yeah,
the kids liked it. It was still fine.
It's always good. Like the older we get, though, the less we're excited about fireworks and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
When your kids are little, it's cool, man, because they're like, "Oh, wow, this is amazing." When you're older, you're like, "Can I just stay home?
Please don't destroy my property."
It's like, it's sad, man. The older I get, the more I enjoy just chilling out here. Like a great weekend oftentimes is one where there's no plans and we're just hanging out at the house, man.
We should have a little challenge between the four of us, and maybe not Ryan since he's stressed out already.
Push-ups.
See, no, I already lost that one. See who can get the best recording of fireworks with our equipment at home. That'd be kind of fun, wouldn't it?
Mm.
Deck or whatever, and just see who can get the cleanest recording. Play it in M-Wave and see who's got what. I've tried it 2 years or something, and I've not done well. So I don't
what
know.
did you
I have some
what
sort of advantage here.
explain this to me? What you want?
Like just capture a good clean recording without clipping of the fireworks and just see.
Oh, so you're talking about audio?
Yeah,
Audio and
you
video?
could play it in M-Wave if we can get a good recording and have a little voting contest or something. Kind of fun.
Fun.
You guys are like, no, no.
No,
I'm thinking I got too much to do.
I got too
before
much
we
to do.
M-Wave.
You and Kyle can do that.
I
Yeah,
might
yeah,
try it again.
I got a lot to do too, so
yeah.
I might have to bow out.
We'll share what
Jonathan's
Kyle-
a one-man story. Jonathan, let me see what you
Oh
can do.
boy.
See what you come up with, Jonathan. Because really, ultimately in life, we're supposed to be competing against ourselves. How about that? So you go all at it.
Oh boy.
Oh man, let me say hi to some folks in the chat. SRW1000, good to see you. Mark Fox, man, it's so good to see you, brother. I know he had a surgery recently and said he's feeling great. So we are truly, truly grateful for you, man. Been praying for you. So I'm excited you're here. Finster's here. Finster had a chance to get to meet him personally. He's actually from Canada, and he and his family were down here in Orlando last weekend. And he reached out to me. He's like, "Hey, man, I'm going to be in your area." And I'm like, "Come on over, man." And he's one of my patrons too. So super nice guy, man. He was very, very excited. He said all the way home, he just kept talking about the experience here. So that's always exciting when we give demos to people and they're like, "Dude, that was awesome." Like I thoroughly enjoyed that. So really glad to meet you, man. I'm gonna go ahead and throw this one up there. John Raiders, good to see you, buddy. He says, "Do you know what per listens will be in what rooms and set up for M-Wave?" So the cool thing is if you go to the website, let me share this real quick. So you can go to midwestavexperience.com. Right up here at the top under attend, there is an option for experience rooms. And so it'll take you to this. So here's the map here. It's what it looks like. So we'll have rooms 2201, pretty much all the way over to 2214. And then you can see over here on the left, all of the various rooms that we've got here. And then you can click on either the links up top or the names. So like, for example, let's just say NFM, which is basically SVS. So actually I'm gonna go to theirs. So SVS, you can see they've shared with me what they're going to have in their room. So not every brand has done that. I've encouraged each one of them to do that, but not all of them have. Focal, I think they recently shared with me what they've got in their room. So you can see exhibiting products. So this is what they're bringing. So that's super, super helpful. But like I said, not every brand has done that. Some of them you'll go to and it's kind of more generic, like even JVC. They're going to be bringing a bunch of projectors, but they haven't really let me know which one. So it's just kind of a generic page. But you can get all that information on the website, MidwestAVExperience.com. Who else we got here? Jed, good to see you. JD the expert. Marv, Chris, lots of folks. Mike, Chuck, Brian, good to see you. David, man, lots of folks in the chat. So I tell you what, let's go ahead and share a little bit. Kyle, you have been up to a lot, like straight up a lot. I'm going to pull up a image here and you can share kind of what in the world are we looking at here. So Kyle is getting ready to
I got a few here I can pull up.
Hold on, before you do that, Jonathan's wife is calling him out.
Jonathan has too much to do. I love it, dude. Hey, Megan. Scott, what are we looking at here, man?
So yeah, that is the Evolution boxes from GSG. So over there on the right is the sealed 24 that they have. And the whole Evolution line is pretty cool. They've got some nice beveled edges. They've got some geometry to them. So it's not just a square box. There's a little bit of design. So they threw that on there. It's pretty nice looking. But yeah, it's a sealed 24 over there on the right. That's the dual 21 in the center and the dual 18 on the left. And I know for sure we're going to have that dual 21 up and running He was not able. They're coming out with some proprietary like OEM drivers for GSG, and they weren't able to completely get their design finalized, and so we're not going to have the dual 18 box running. I'm going to bring it there though, so it's not going to have drivers in it. You guys can see how it's all put together, the bracing, just see that side of it prior to putting drivers in.
Okay.
But I'm planning on getting all of them painted and actually looking good prior to the show. But we'll definitely have the dual 21 going, and then the 24 will have some foresight. Stereo Integrity, we're at least going to have 4 24s in their room.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we'll have that one up and running or not, but I'll at least get the box there, maybe throw a driver in it just so we can see it. If we have a space for it, we can use it down there, obviously, but you'll be able to hear the 24s in the Stereo Integrity room regardless. But yeah, we'll have all 3 of those boxes down there, and it should be a pretty good time. It's been some hours getting those put together, and actually I've got about an hour I can spend here with you guys, and I probably got 3 more hours of work to finish getting this prep down there. I will actually share my screen and show you where I'm at now. All right, can you see that?
Yep.
All right, so that's kind of different angle of what you saw. And then the dual 18 is down there. As you can see, I started smoothing all these edges out, throwing in some putty, and they had like dowel rods to line up your front baffle, because it's like 3 or 4 sheets thick, depending on if it's the 18 or 21, it's 3 sheets. The 24 is 4 sheets thick. So you line everything up with dowel rods, but there's some holes left. So I went ahead and filled those in with some Bondo or body putty, and then throwing some spackle in all the nail holes. So that's kind of my process right now that I'm doing, and I'm hoping tomorrow evening I can start painting everything and then finish up painting everything on the 4th. So that's where they're sitting right now, and I got some work to do.
Do you guys know the frequency response down low of the 24s?
I mean, whenever I was measuring it, I had 3 in my room in our last place, and I was getting like 115 decibels at 5 hertz, I think.
Oh my God.
So
Yeah, that'll do.
and anything above 10 hertz was over 120 decibels, and it would peak like in the mid 20s to upper 20s. I could get about 130 decibel, but I mean, they'll go down as low as you want to go, pretty much.
Yeah.
Maybe I need one for an infrasonic.
Might.
So speaking of that, Kyle, what do they need like for power? Do you know?
So they're rated at 2,000 watts RMS.
That's not bad.
No, it's not bad, and they can probably take a little bit more than that. Nick from Stereo Integrity won't tell you that, but they can probably take a little more than 2,000 watts. The amp that I had was 2,000 RMS, and then it would peak at 4,000. So it could do short bursts at 4,000. And actually, will be for the Stereo Integrity room, I should be getting a Synbosen. It's the D4-3000. It's their new 1-unit amplifiers. They call them their digital amplifiers, but they're only 1 unit thick for a rack instead of the 2 units for the FP series that everyone really likes. So I'll bring both of those amps out there, but we should be running that whole room, the 4 Stereo Integrity subs off of that one Synbosen amp, the D4-3000.
Yeah, that thing was a beast. You sent me a link to that. I'm like, holy cow!
Yeah,
it's like serious power.
Yeah, it's pretty cool looking. I mean, I hope it's. I haven't seen them side by side as far as like opened up to see all the caps and everything, but I'm hoping it has as much power as what the FP20Q did, because that's what I had running before, and it was plenty powerful. So if it's anything like that, it should rock the place pretty good.
Heck yeah, man! It's gonna be a good time. There's definitely a lot of big subwoofers that are gonna be at M-Wave this year. 24s, 18s, 21s, whole bunch of them. I think Perlisten is bringing 7 of their D215 subwoofers.
Yep. I just got Martin Logan's.
Wait, did that number increase? Wait. Stop there.
It was 9, I thought.
Well, I think 2 of them are going to be in the 2-channel room.
Okay.
No.
And then
No. They sent They sent 2D215s, 5 D15s,
Okay.
and the 2-channel room has 2 R210s.
Okay. So
So
they
they
got a
have 9
variety of
subs.
subs they're bringing. So
And then Martin Logan has 4 of the 15s, and then they
Mhm.
sent 2 of their Balance Force 212s.
yeah. And so part of the reason is those rooms are really huge, guys. I mean, we're talking 30 feet by 40 feet, 15-foot ceiling. So that's a big room to pressurize. So this is definitely going to be a new experience for us because in the previous year, we were at a totally different venue, totally different setup. And so,
Technically, the room at the other venue was larger, though.
well, yeah, because you got the whole
Auditorium.
auditorium.
Yeah.
That was, and that it was cool and it looked amazing, but definitely not ideal. Like the
No.
Perlissons, they didn't really have a great.
And now that we're speaking of subwoofers,
Mhm.
you and I just figured out and announced what I think a lot of people have interest in that I just ordered. Hopefully it'll be here this week or next week. So the RP 1600 and the SVS PB16.
Oh yeah. I just announced that on the channel. So we've got 2 subwoofers that are coming up. And just for clarification, yes, Clips did make the RP 1600 SW. Their kind of goal for it to be in comparable or comparison with is the PB 4000. But you guys on my channel have been asking ever since it was announced, how does this compare to the PB 1600 or PB 16? Because they're both 16-inch drivers, but the Klipsch is a lot less expensive, about $1,000, maybe $1,500 less. And so we're just going to put them in a blind comparison. Let's just see how it does. I mean, we'll have some fun with it. So I'm excited to at least hear it and check it out.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
So that'll be good. Trying to think if there was anything else that came up recently. We got the SVS Ultras for the bookshelf comparison. The Klipsch 600 M2s for that, and a bunch of other speakers. They'll be part of that.
And I just had a conversation last week with Arundel, or let me think. Arundel is how they pronounce it. I even asked him, I'm like, hey, how do you, there's like this debate on, is it Arundel? And he was like, it's actually Arundel. I went, okay, cool. So I'm going to try to pronounce it Arundel for now on. But anyway, so they're sending their 1723 monitor speakers. So that'll be great for the speaker comparison. And they're also going to be sending a 1723, I think it's the S2. Is that the model number? It's basically like their sealed version 2. So because they've got a V, they've got a V2 and they've got an S2.
How big is it?
15.
So that'll be good to see how it stacks up.
Yeah,
against everything.
Sure.
I'm glad I had Bob build a really big Lazy Susan, because we went from like 4 speakers now to 8. So I'm glad that that's there, and I'm glad we're doing an 8-channel amp so that we can facilitate all of this.
Yeah.
That'll
so
be
a lot of more moving parts this year to M-Wave, and so we're super excited. But the community has just been incredible. Just the turnout, the vendors. So content creators are coming this year. We've got quite a few of them, 8 or 9. So we're ready to have a blast, man. And we did last year, and this year is just bigger and better. And we're just going to continue to have as much fun as we can. And we'll try to document as much as we can, video wise. And so I'll have some content coming out after the show, because I'll be going by each one of the rooms and interviewing each brand, talk about their products and what they brought to the show. And we'll try to do some interviews with people that are at the show. And so we're just going to have a lot of fun, man.
I did get in writing that there's no noise limit, so they can't really tell us to turn it down.
Yeah. We asked them.
That's before they
I
heard
asked
you guys were
multiple
bringing.
times.
That is a good thing.
Multiple times. So there's no
Now-
noise limit. No.
Now, granted, we may not get invited back next year, but at
Maybe
least this
not.
year they won't be able to tell us. to turn
Technically,
it
they
down.
didn't invite me this year. I had to ask them, so there was
See,
no
they're-
invitation.
They're used to car shows there and stuff when people bring like
Yeah.
215s and their pro
Yeah.
audio, they don't go below 30 hertz. And that's what they're
Yeah.
expecting when you're saying this.
Yeah. We'll see, man.
Not
We'll
Kyle
see.
walking
Some of
in
the
with
vendors wouldn't
21,
even come
24s.
without them saying this.
Yeah. Jeff, Nick, and them said we're not coming if they make us turn it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
they've been to a couple other shows that they've been
Yeah.
asked to turn it down, and
Exponent.
it is discouraging, because not that they're going to be cranking it wide open, the whole time. But there's sometimes you just got to let it rip. Like a friend of mine came over yesterday, and he's got a Ferrari, and it's one of the things where if you got a Ferrari, every once in a while you just gotta drop the hammer. You're not gonna be driving around 45 going, "Ain't my car cool?" So every once in a while you just gotta let it go. That was a fun ride, dude. Like really fun ride. He's on some cool cars. He's got a home theater over in Tampa, and so every time he gets a new, he's like, "Hey man, you got to come check out the Tesla Plaid. Hey man, I just got the new Ferrari. Hey man, I just got the Porsche." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you're killing me, man." He had the R.
Real life.
Yeah, what does he have? R8. I think he had a couple of R8s. So yeah, so fun toys, man. But yeah, so they're gonna let them rip, and we're gonna have some fun, and then we're gonna do some head-to-head kind of blind comparisons, just to give you an opportunity to see what these things look like and sound like and feel like side by side. So it's gonna be super fun there. So hanging with Tom Brady out there, I don't know about that, man. I don't know Tom Brady. So
He does.
He was
just
on-
doesn't admit
he
it.
was on I think you're confusing me and Mr. Beast. I mean, he just went on
Tom
Mr.
Brady, I heard he might be making an appearance in M-Wave, so be sure to get your tickets if you want to possibly see him there. So
I did not say
That
that.
made Michael spit out his water.
He's welcome to show up, but I don't think
it's a
Tom's,
possibility. I mean, you never know.
you and him were kind of close, right?
Yeah.
I don't have his number in my phone though.
M. Brady is who I was close with, not Tom. I don't know Tom personally. Yeah.
A little bit different there, a little bit different.
Yep.
Actually, speaking of earlier, not Tom Brady, but it just reminded me something. We've actually got 2 of our attendees that are traveling pretty far, man. One's coming from Hawaii, which is super cool. And then we got another gentleman flying in from Canada. So I just thought that was dope, man. So we got people literally traveling. Oh, I know what it was. There was a comment up here. I think I started. Where was it at? He was traveling. Here we go. So David says, "I'm ready for M-Wave coming from," is it Lubbock? Lubbock, Texas. Lubbock, Texas, Kansas City Quarterback Home College. Super cool, man. Glad to have you, David. It's going to be a blast, man. There's so many people literally just coming from all over the place. Some are flying, some are driving. We've even got some guys that are bringing trailers. And the reason why they're bringing trailers is
there's quite a few bringing trailers. Where they're going to put them, I don't know, but there's quite a few.
Yeah, true. There's some good stuff. I'm going to pull this up here before we get into questions, because there may be some stuff that you guys might be interested in. The reason why they're bringing trailers is we have quite a few of the brands that are selling their demo units and open box units that they're going to be using at the show. So some of these they may be brand new and they're just using it at the show. Some of them may have been used at previous shows, like I think Munich, they just finished up there. Some of them were shipped over from that show. But anyway, you can save a ton of money here. This is definitely some great deals. Over here on the right is just the MSRP. But if you're interested in any of this, there's a form below all of this list. Just fill that out, shoot us an email, let us know what you're interested, and we'll get back with you on pricing. There are some more seating that's going to be added. You can see we've got some here from Valencia Theater seating. Some of those are already accounted for. The Tuscany Ultimate XL is sold, and then the regular Tuscany Ultimate is sold. But we also have some more seating from row 1. I was trying to get in touch with Todd tonight. He hadn't responded back yet. But he's supposed to get me his information. I think he's wanting to bring about 8 theater seats. And so and he would love to get them sold before the show. So keep an eye out on this page. You can go to midwestaviexperience.com/4-sale. I'll drop a link over here in the chat so you can kind of take a look at that.
And it needs to go because I don't want it back after the show.
Yeah. So if you're looking to upgrade, I'll be honest with you guys, now is the time, because you're going to save a ton of money on this. So definitely check that out. Like I said, I've dropped that over in the chat, and probably later on in the show, I'll drop it down in the description as well. So
that Tuscany Ultimate XL that was was that a price for a set of like 3, or is that one chair for $9,000?
Yeah, that's one chair.
Wow.
No,
Okay.
it's 3
No.
chairs. You
Yeah.
goof.
The other ones were priced like a
Like what?
single chair.
No, it didn't have the numbers because it was sold.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's
yeah,
3
over to
chairs.
the right where it says sold. Normally there's a number there, so there would have been
Yeah.
a 3 there.
That was 3 chairs.
Mm-hmm. But like I
So they
said,
went up
that's just MSRP. That's like full manufacturer retail suggested, all that stuff. So, but they are pretty significantly reduced. So if you're interested, so Brian says he got a steal. So super cool, man. So see,
Yeah, he
Brian,
actually broke
I didn't
into
want
the house and was stealing things out of my garage.
I didn't want to throw him under the bus. Brian is one that's bringing the trailer. He bought some stuff. I know another guy, Rusty. He was our VIP Platinum from last year. He's actually bringing a trailer, picking up some stuff. So lots of stuff. Claude is coming back again this year. Super excited for you, brother. Good to meet you or see you again. He said he's coming from Arcadia National Park in Maine. Actually flying in for my vacation. You rock, dude. I love it, dude. Claude's a great dude. So, and I think he even signed up to help out. And that's the other thing. If you're coming to the show, if you're interested in helping out, there's no way possible that just a couple of us can put the show together. We're going to need lots of volunteers helping the vendors bring all these big, massive subwoofers and speakers and amplifiers and all that into the venue. Of course, they're going to be doing their own calibration, so they don't necessarily need help with that, but just physically moving these, and then especially after the show, getting that back to the vehicles and trailers and stuff. Ryan has a massive amount of stuff at his house consuming his garage right now. We've got to load that up into a 26-foot budget enclosed truck.
You better go for a 40-footer.
Yeah, he's got
I
the Neo.
think we'll fit.
You got the Neoliths there, right?
Last year it was just a van.
Yeah, it was
So
small.
we got a box
tight.
truck. I had to do the 6-foot box truck because we need the lift gate.
Chris still has the cooler, man. You rock. Yeah, bring the cooler. We're probably gonna need it.
The Neoliths showed up on Friday.
Yeah,
Those were fun to get off the truck. They were not.
they're a couple hundred. What are they? 300 pounds each.
They're significantly more than that in the wood crates.
Man, so that's from
So
Martin Logan.
Martin Logan sent, I think just from Martin Logan, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 8 pallets just from Martin Logan. And then I'm probably going to have another 8 pallets from Perlison. Thank God Jeff from RTJ is doing his own thing because I wouldn't have room. Valencia, I've got 5 pallets, I think. And then I've got 4 or 5 TVs sitting in my garage, the smallest of which is 65, which looks like a TV monitor compared to what's sitting next to it. There's just...
Kyle, how many pallets will fit in a 26 foot U-Haul? That seems like those numbers won't work. That's too many pallets, isn't it? You said 16 out of just 2 companies. 16 pallets out of 2 companies.
We can take things off of pallets.
I think you better get a second truck, man.
We can take more than one trip.
Bringing a 20-foot trailer to get stuff there because I've got 4 enclosures for 24s, 5 enclosures for 24s, the dual 21.
You're bringing
the
all
dual
of your
18.
24s?
No, he's sending me 4 of their carbon fiber 24s.
Oh, Nick is sending all of this to you?
Nick it's showing up tomorrow actually. So he won the newest offering that he has, which is all carbon fiber 24s. So he's sending 2 pre-made, like already ready to go in the box, and then 2 drivers that I'm going to swap. The 2 that I have behind my seats here, I'm going to swap those out. I'm also bringing my LCR, the 1299s. I'm bringing for his room. I'm bringing my front stage, my projector, my pop-up screen.
Oh, wow.
So Jonathan, what are you bringing?
Yeah. I'm bringing the JBL PA system for the announcements and everything. So I needed a trailer.
Nice. What else was I going to say? Do you have a pallet jack?
Hey, look
I
what
wish.
And a skid steer.
Brian said. He's got something here. He says, tell me now and I'll bring some moving gear. Have a portable lift, have stacking things, and a hand truck. Tilt.
I mean,
dollies.
obviously, Brian, yes.
Yeah.
I have a pallet jack and some hand trucks and stuff, but geez, I didn't know.
You have a pallet jack.
I do.
That's nice.
But given all of this stuff, we're going to need multiple pallet
Yeah.
jacks.
Yeah.
Well,
Definitely.
all of mine, nothing's going to be on pallets. I got a refrigerator, furniture dolly with a
Mhm.
strap. I can strap it and move it.
I
Like
mean,
that
I have a
pretty
couple
easily.
furniture dollies, but it's still a pain. Sometimes
It's
just
all gonna
easy
be a
to
pain.
clear a pallet and just sit stuff on the pallet.
Yeah,
So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. The 26
happen.
footer may make multiple trips, but we got 3 days to set up this year instead of 3/4 of a day.
Yeah, that's gonna help for sure.
how long do we have to take down?
A day.
Mm.
I mean,
Like
basically,
Sunday
like,
after the show or
always-
Monday?
It always goes far
Yeah.
quicker after the
that's
show.
way quicker,
Sure.
man.
Always.
Yeah.
I
mean,
just
it-
didn't know if we had run over into the next day or not, so I was just
No.
curious.
Not so much. Yeah.
That's
you
how
guys
we're
seen
moving
this
the
kind of
Neoliths.
stuff before?
That's
These-
how
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Neoliths are getting moved.
Those are so nice. I've got those. I'll bring those and some other straps, and yeah, I'll bring some stuff to help.
They make the ones that
That's
go
the-
on your wrists that you can hold on the top. That one goes around your
Yeah.
shoulders. I don't know which is better, but that stuff makes a world of difference if you're carrying a lot of
Dude,
gear.
that'll make moving
Those are so much
Neoliths
better.
like piece of cake.
Yeah, those where you can strap it on your
Could you
shoulders like that.
imagine, man,
Those make it so easy.
with the Neoliths though? Could you
No.
imagine?
Oh, you didn't
I would
want
have
to
just
do
said,
that.
all right,
Yeah,
anybody
no.
that wants to experience them has got to walk to the loading dock, and that's
Yeah.
where they're going to sit.
Yeah, Brian, appreciate it, man. That would be super helpful. Thanks for offering that.
Anybody have a forklift?
I don't know. Mike Larry, he asked, I wish you guys would have some Paradigm representation at Amway. We would too, buddy. I'd love for every brand out there to say, man, we want to have an awesome setup, an awesome experience room for you guys. We are more than welcome, and we send out emails and try to contact, and it's up to the brands whether or not they want to participate. So
Judging by Mike Larry's profile picture, we may be able to send him to Paradigm to convince them to come.
exactly. Yeah. Just seriously reach out to those guys and say, hey man, we missed you last year at Amway. We'd love to have you again next year. And just tell them you'd love to have them there. So cool. So as far as Ryan, he'd asked about the schedule. So for the most part, yes. And the reason why I say that is this year is going to look a lot different than last year. So last year was very like, okay, from this time to this time, we're doing this. And this time to this time, we're doing this. As the show gets bigger, we really physically can't do that. We've got 200 plus people to be able to kind of structure that. It's a whole lot easier just to have the whole show going on. The only things that'll be scheduled will be like the seminars. And, you know, but for the most part, everything else will be just going on throughout the whole show. The first night we'll end up meeting just kind of together just for a kind of real short meeting, just to kind of give everybody a lay of the land, what they can expect from the weekend, and just have some fun there. But other than that, it'll be pretty much the schedules on the website. But as we get those, even literally like a couple of days ago, we had another brand say, hey man, we'd love to give a seminar. So we've got to get them worked into that. So, but we'll add that pretty short. Last time I checked the experience rooms. Yeah. So as far as the experience rooms, again, those are just going to be going the whole time. Originally, we were thinking more along the lines of last year, where it would be just from this time to this time. But we've got plenty of time, 2 full days. We got a bunch of rooms. So we can just have those going pretty much all weekend. Yeah, man.
Be hard to fit everyone into one of those rooms too. I mean, they're big
Yeah.
rooms, but there's getting to be quite a bit of people coming. So
Yeah. So it's
I don't think
definitely
you'd be able to do it.
right. And so there's going to be some growing pains and, you know, some challenges as this thing continues to morph and to grow. But the great thing is every year we want to get your feedback. We want to know what things work really well, what things can we do to improve. And we want to take that information and just make M-Wave 2024 even better than 2023. But we're super pumped for those of you that are coming out and being a part of that. It's going to be an awesome, awesome weekend. So, all right. Any other thoughts on that? What were you saying, Ryan?
I was just going to say, I think it's time for questions.
Yep, I'm ready, man. All right, here we go. Sammy, will a $400,000 home theater be better than a commercial movie theater? Great question. Sammy, honestly, I think even a lot less than that can get you better than a commercial theater. Now, of course, you can't get a massive, 30-foot wide screen in your room. But the reality is the closer we sit, that is kind of similar to having the big, massive screen, but sitting 40 or 50 foot back. So what do you guys think? I think absolutely you can, and a lot less than that.
I agree.
For sure.
400,000 is a lot.
Mhm.
That's a lot of money.
So here's the other thing, Sammy. Just because you spend more money doesn't mean it's going to sound better. There are a lot of people that they buy real high-end gear. They've got beautiful equipment, really high-end equipment, great speakers, great amplification, awesome subwoofers, and zero room acoustics, no treatment, no acoustic panels, no nothing. And the room sounds terrible. And so it's not necessarily about what you spend. It's really about how you set up the room. The calibration is huge. If you just throw 3 subwoofers in a room and you didn't bother taking any kind of measurements to see how well they're playing with each other, playing together, that sounded kind of weird. But just making sure they're playing, well together, they could be canceling each other out. You may have phase issues on them. And so it's not really about the money, because I believe in a law of diminishing return.
It's
Once
a little
you
bit
get
about the money. You got to have a threshold.
100%, but after a
Not
while,
anywhere near that high. Right?
yeah. So after a while, you're chasing that last 1%, that last 5%, and you're spending a lot of money to get that kind of thing. So
to put it in perspective, here's what I think. Ryan has got the best picture on a projector I've ever seen.
Mm.
Projectors at a movie theater, they'll cost $1 million, but they have to light up that 60-foot screen or that 35-foot screen, and that's costs a lot more to get that.
Mhm.
Ryan's room is a 130-inch screen, but it's got a gorgeous picture with a $25,000 MSRP projector.
Yeah.
All 4 of us, our sound systems in our home theaters sound better than any commercial cinema I've ever been to.
Yeah.
So you don't have to go. I mean, those commercial cinemas, they'll spend $1 million plus to build their rooms.
Sure.
We're down here a lot lower, and we're surpassing that, in my opinion. So
Yeah, Ryan's getting close to $1 million, but he's not there yet.
Yeah. He told me he's got like $10 more to go. Just one more speaker wire and he's about there.
I did. So I was at a show this last week in LA, and I got to see Barco's new projector, the Nerthus.
Yeah.
It's just under $300,000.
Mm.
Things like 27,000 lumens.
Wow.
And then I got to see, I did the thing that I was really excited about is I got to see their Bifrost video wall, which was a 16-foot wide 5K CinemaScope video wall.
Yeah.
And it was 600 nits measured. Not full white. Like that was what it was. It was incredible. I mean, it was almost $500,000, but it was still really cool.
So after you saw that Barco, specifically the projector you saw, did you come home and think, this isn't as good as I thought, or did you come home still satisfied? How did you fall off that?
No comment.
He's ready to buy one.
No,
He's building a stand in the back now.
I'm not going to comment on it
Ready?
because I have associations with those brands.
Yeah. People have asked me though, because I do a ton of home theater tours. And so I get the privilege of traveling literally all over the world, hearing some incredible systems. I've heard all 4 of you guys' systems. And there are many times that I hear something that honestly sounds better than mine. It either has more bass or it's got a better picture or whatever. But I still come home and I love my setup,
Right.
I don't think but it's funny because I'll go somewhere and I'll do a video and they're like, when are you going to upgrade the Wisdom? Like, what? They're $20,000 a speaker. I'm not going to be updating to Wisdom,
Sorry,
that's way out of my
spit
price
out
range.
my drink out of my nose.
But just because I hear something, and even if it's better, and the same thing, I've reviewed stuff that to me I enjoyed more than what I have, whether like I said, whether it's a subwoofer, whether it's a speaker or whatever. But just because I review it doesn't mean that I'm going to upgrade to it, because I got to spend money on that thing, So, and sometimes I'm like, you know what, I'm okay with where I'm at.
And we've talked about it before. I think it's also that there's a point of diminishing returns that you can hit where it's good enough, and there's just not enough headroom up there to make you too excited for the next thing. And I think
Yeah.
I think that's a really valid concept. And I think going to Exponent and hearing those speakers that cost $800,000 for a pair, come home, I still hear mine have crossed that threshold of good enough where I don't come home and think like, ah, man. So that's why I was curious about with yours.
I would
Ryan. That
say
was
with the
my question.
Oxbona thing that a lot of times, the majority of the time, hell, 99% of the time, the stuff that everybody has in this room is better than a lot of stuff that was at Exponent.
Certainly the way it's set up in those hotel rooms sometimes.
I mean, you're making excuses for them, but sure.
Sometimes it's the actual quality of it. So, Fred, I think you were referring to not Armadale. I don't think they make a big 80-inch subwoofer. That is
Ascendo.
Ascendo, sorry. So yeah, I don't know how much it costs, but man, if it's $400,000, I don't think it's quite that much, but might go into 400,000. Jonathan, why are your lights so dim?
I don't know. I thought it was cool.
he didn't want us to see the carpets that Megan asked him.
No, so like here's white. It's
God dang it! Now I gotta go do that to my room.
That looks
riser's
cool.
not painted or finished, but it's built. And then
Here,
let's see.
Let me pump you up here. Boom.
The pole's in, the carpet's back,
right.
the front
All
ceiling's
right.
moved.
That's what's happening tonight. We're going
The
on.
ceiling's still tore up because I got a couple more lights.
Philips Hue lights. Here we come.
I love it, dude. That's awesome.
This is the problem. This is Jonathan initially sent me down this rabbit hole years ago. Look what he's done to, and he just continues to do it. Never ending. Just
that looks great, dude.
Yeah,
That
it's
looks
coming
cool.
together.
I've got a
real nice,
box
and
of
I'm happy
them.
with it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I've got a
John, sorry,
box of those sitting over there that I got to install in mine. Actually, I've had them for like 2 months. I don't know. They've just been sitting there staring at me. I just haven't gotten down here to do it. So seeing yours and the whole room just do that like that, it's like, okay, I got to do this.
I've got control. So I've got Lutron lights and stuff in there, but I don't have color and stuff like you do. And plus I've been wanting to do, because I've got LED strips behind my speakers. I've been wanting to do more control and do Philips. Thank you, love. And do Philips, but I just haven't pulled it together to pull the trigger. And here Jonathan is twisting my arm.
You will buy these lights. You know, I was telling him off
blue
before the show. It's pretty funny because a couple guys came over and helped me build that riser. Thanks to Tim and Sheldon, by the way, for the call out here. But at any rate, they both came in and they both got home theaters. They saw these lights and they said the same thing Ryan did. Like, darn it. Now I gotta go buy those lights. They're not expensive. On the plus side, they're only like $25 a piece. So
yeah, but it adds up. I mean,
quite
how many
affordable.
lights did you get?
10.
Yeah.
All right, Davey, I'll just share this out loud. We got you in the queue, brother. I promise, man. So I've seen him post it like 6 times. So
We get there.
we'll get you,
It
man.
takes a while.
Yep, we got them all in order. We just go in order. Super chats are always welcome. That'll get you to the top, but absolutely not necessary. All right, let's come back here. So Steven, he says, hello, I have a 5.2.2 Concerta F36's setup. So looking to set up a NAS drive. Would I plug this into the Shield Pro or, okay, here's another one, or what? Maybe that's just, I thought he had.
So here's another version of that question. I have a 5.2.2 Revel Concerta 530 F36 system with a Yamaha RX A6A. Looking to install a NAS drive. What's the best way to implement this into a Shield Pro?
Okay.
Plex.
If it's a NAS, you don't have to tie it into the Shield Pro, and that's network attached storage. So you're just using an IP address that should be live on the network, and you can just map to it from your Shield or from your OS or anything.
Yeah, I would do
streaming device.
Plex for ease of use. It auto-populates all of the titles from, I say it it tries to, and it does a pretty good job from metadata. Plus it makes the user experience pretty good. I think Plex is really only second to Kaleidoscape. The Kaleidoscape's on like a whole nother level for user
And some
experience.
guys use Kodi, as
Yeah,
well.
I've used Kodi, but I think Plex's user experience is better. I think the granularity that you can get with Kodi is better. But as far as usability and ease of use, I think Plex is easier.
Kodi looks cooler, I'll be honest. They've got some custom mod. I'm seriously, they got some, like you can mod the backgrounds and
Yeah,
that looks
I think
pretty
you can do that with Plex. It's just
Can you?
not something that you can do in the
Gotcha.
directly in the app.
All right, let's see. Yeah, so this one is that next one that starred. That's basically the same question, right?
Which one? If it's the same user, probably.
Yeah. All right. Oh yeah, we got that one. She knows what you got to do, buddy. She's watching you. Tristan says Jonathan's wife said he also has too much to do. All
That was
right.
a long time ago. We got
I'm telling you, man, they just come in. Chuck says, is 6 Atmos speakers worth it? Looking to upgrade from 2 Atmos. Okay, going from 2 to 6. So on a journey to upgrade from my current 5.1.2 system. Great question, Chuck. So
Chuck, what's your room? What are the dimensions? That's what I want to know. So we're going to come back to you.
how many rows of seating too? That's my question for you.
Mhm.
So let's keep him start and come back to him.
Okay.
So Chuck, we need to like equipment list, room dimensions, and seating.
Just give some context. So Sonny says a question, which is very important for me. How loud do I set up the subwoofers? After measuring the AVM 90, I put the 4 subs to plus 8 dB. Only then I feel the chest slam. Is this the way to go? What do you think,
go-
Kyle?
Higher than that.
It's all about, well, it's going to be different from receiver to receiver. So like +8 could mean something different for Yamaha or Emotiva or whatever. But when you're taking measurements, I mean, normally, people run 10B hot from what I've heard, just as pretty standard. Ryan
What I've
runs,
heard.
I think, like 35 hot. So I don't know. But no, like
I
as a
like how you're
standard
making
from what
fun
I've
of me when you have 324s in your room
Hey,
heard.
it's true.
It's all relative.
and they're near field.
Yeah. So no, I run them, I think, about 15 hot. So yeah, +8. If where it was set at and you've put it +8 from where it was, that's pretty normal for people to feel that chest slam and to feel that bass. So yeah, nothing wrong with that at all. It's all relative to what you think sounds good and what you think,
Mhm.
if you're looking for that chest slam, what feels good for you. So if you need to bump it up to +10 or +12 to get a little bit more of it with some movies, nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah. So one thing I'd recommend too, Sonny, and I always share this with people, is definitely take some measurements in your room, because if you've got a massive dip in your like frequency response, you're just trying to boost that up and you're not going to get any more in those frequencies. So if you can fix those frequencies, let's say, for instance, you got a dip between 40 and 50 hertz. That's usually where we say that's where that chest slam's coming. It might just be a couple settings in either your AVR or on the subwoofer itself. If you've got more than one subwoofer, maybe changing the phase on one of them gives you that chest slam, so you don't have to increase that. One thing that you want to just be careful of is in the AVR on your trim levels. I do my best to never go above 0 dB. So I like my trims at 0 or in the negatives, because I don't want to introduce distortion and even kind of get near clipping. If you need to increase above 0 trim to get that gain that you're talking about, I would go to your sub amp and increase it there. At least that's just what I choose to do. So what about you guys?
Yeah, you're right. You shouldn't increase your subwoofer trim over about -3, according to Seaton Sound, who's a very well-respected name in the industry, or used to be very public on the forums, because it gives you have bass being redirected from your surround speakers, and 3 is kind of pushing the limits. If you have the more surround speakers you have and the higher crossover, the lower that trim needs to be. So maybe it's -5, maybe it's -7, that type of thing. But with a typical like 7 or 11 channel speaker, you don't want to go to the positive trims, because you're already redirecting bass to the subs. Now you're going to introduce input clipping at some point, especially if you're trying to go towards reference volumes to have like cinema sound. You're putting out too much signal strength for your subwoofer line. Unless you know your gain structure very well, you can cause problems. So try to keep that subwoofer trim negative and turn up the amplifier gain attenuation knob instead of turning up the subwoofer trim on the AVR or the pre-pro.
Cool. I'm going to scroll down here because I think Chuck got us some additional context. So Chuck says he's got 1 row of seating. Room is 33 feet wide. Holy cow. And 17 to 20 foot deep.
Wow.
He's got 1 row of seating. Does he need 6 Atmos speakers?
No.
I don't think so.
I'm a fan of 4, to be honest with you. Even if you just have 1 row of seating, I prefer to have 2 in the front, 2 behind you. And my logic there is, with only 2, you aren't going to get any panning above you. So if something were to, let's just say, for instance, like you're watching Top Gun Maverick, and one of the jets flies overhead, you're going to, in your setup, if you only have two, they're just both going to come on and then they're going to disappear, versus come on up here, disappear, come on up. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to get that panning from front to back or back to front. So I like having 4. 6, I recommend, like if you've got maybe 3 rows of seating, you know, just to be able to span that out. So, but yeah, I'm with the guys. I don't think you need 6. I'd be a fan of 4. So what?
Ryan, are you kind of smiling inside when you got like 12 rows of speakers on your ceiling or something for one row?
We're gonna bust you up all night tonight.
That's
All right,
fine.
Chris Contreras says any Polk R700 comparisons.
The R200 will be there.
Yeah, we won't have the 700s.
700s are the towers, aren't they?
Is it 700? Polk R700. Those are the towers.
Yeah, the R200s will be there, and they'll compete against the other bookshelves in the speaker comparison. But I need to preface this: the speaker comparisons on Saturday night for the VIPs.
Davi, we got to you, bro. I told you we were getting there, man. Hey guys, salutations from Brazil. Appreciate you watching in all the way across the world. That's awesome. I have a small home theater in my house. I wanted to upgrade my sound to a 7.1.2 system, but my room is a square with 9 feet on each side. Surround is recommended. I guess he's asking, like, what would you recommend for surround speakers in small rooms?
Davey, you know what the worst room is for a home theater sound system?
A circle.
A square.
A square.
Actually, a circle might
Unfortunately.
be pretty good.
Circle should
All
try
those
to-
darn circle rooms in our
I
homes.
was no, I was just being annoying. Definitely a square.
all the guys that are into the acoustics say the square rooms are the hardest place to start.
Yeah.
If you have another room you could try it in that's a rectangular room, you might give that a shot instead. You can overcome it. It'll still be fun. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying that's a hard place to start.
Yeah. And the biggest thing is you just got a lot, I guess it creates more room modes.
Bad room interactions and so forth. If you do symmetric speaker placement in a square room, you get all kinds of modes and cancellations and nulls and all that kind of stuff. So I think really if you're going to do a square room, you kind of want to offset it a little bit so it's not all symmetrical and play with a little bit in that, and you'll have a better even though it might not look as appealing, it will have a better output on the mic into your ear.
So what you're saying is for him to just randomly place speakers throughout the room?
Well, just off center a little bit, perhaps.
Yeah, so they're not equal across from
Yeah.
each other.
I don't even know
Just
that
to the
he
left.
wanted. I don't even know that he'd really want to do 7 channels. That'd be hard in a room that's that
Yeah,
small.
not 9x9. Yeah. Yeah, I have 7 and my room's 13 by 19. And I definitely wouldn't go any bigger for sure.
Probably 5. I'd do a 5-1-2.
That'd be totally okay. Yeah, and so here's a prime example. Might not be beneficial to do 4 Atmos speakers in a room that small. 9
I
by
don't
9.
even know that you could do it
Yeah.
because I'm betting the couch is going to be up against the back wall,
Yeah,
and it's just not feasible.
that's true. Yeah, he may
Doesn't
just
make
have kind of
sense.
over him. Yeah.
You see a lot of pictures and stuff of in comments on Facebook and other places about people trying to make this work. Then they end up putting heights channels and stuff on the back wall that are right above their seating position, and their Atmos are
Mhm.
1 foot in front of that, and the channel separation just doesn't work. It's you have to have channel separation in order to make these additional channels worthwhile. And if you don't have it and can't get them in the proper position, you're just going to cause problems. So less is more a lot
You
of
might
times.
just do a 5.2 or something in that room.
Yeah.
You'll enjoy it, man. Don't get down on it. We're kind of being negative here, but you can have a lot of fun with that still, and I'm sure you'll be
Make the
very.
You're
best-
the only one being negative about his room.
I was just saying that's
Nancy.
like no. I was just saying like if you go to any acoustic thread, they'll be like, "Don't make your room square." That's the first.
yeah, but you tried
step
to,
one
you
of
tried to
making a
throw
new
that
room.
off onto all of us. Like we're being negative, and it's just Jonathan.
No,
over
I was negative. I'm
Square
sorry,
room.
David. You're gonna have a great time. It's gonna be a fun for you.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a fun journey.
do the best with what you have. We all have imperfect rooms, even with dedicated theater rooms.
Yep.
So Predominator, yes, question, what projector do I have? I have the JVC NX7. So it's a little bit older projector. I had about
Trash.
16, yeah, had about 1,600 hours on the bulb, and I just replaced it. So didn't have to. It definitely can go about 3,000 hours, but I just wanted it to be the brightest that it possibly could be, because it's not the brightest projector. Definitely, you definitely need a light controlled room. Don't try to put that in your living room.
3,000 hours. Michael's going to be sitting over here looking at like 4 lumens on his screen. Oh, I can still see it. I don't need to replace
Details
the bulb yet.
incredible.
I've been there before, man.
Look
I'm
at
like,
that
"Oh,
spectral highlight.
That's a fantastic projector. I was kidding
love
when I
it.
said trash.
No,
It's a
it's-
really good projector.
it's done me very well. I've enjoyed it, but I do wish it was brighter, honestly. All right, let's see. Chris Contreras, I just put up wall treatments in my theater room. Great, man. He says, wow, what a huge improvement. So one thing that, and probably, I don't know if you guys were this way, but acoustic treatment along my 17-year journey was kind of near, not necessarily near the end, but it definitely wasn't at the beginning.
Right.
There were a couple years that I went with no treatment in my room. And one day I heard somebody mention like the clap test, and it's just where you sit in your primary listening position, clap one time and just listen. And if you hear this boing, oing, oing, oing all around your room, that's no bueno.
You got some interesting room acoustics, if that's what it sounds like.
Mine sounded, it had the most nasty, I guess they call it a slap echo.
Yeah.
And it was horrendous. I mean, like it was boing, oing, oing. That's exactly what it sounded like. And I'm like, man, whatever, dude.
I'm just sitting
I'm
here
just
thinking.
imagining you
the-
clapping and hearing that sound bounce around your room.
No, seriously, it was crazy. It sounded
Just
just
thinking
like
at the hospital,
Just
we
like
have the clap
that.
test, which is not the same thing as what you're talking about.
different kind of clap. But yeah. So yeah, the fact that you're putting room treatments in there and you hear a difference, that's awesome. You know, because for a long time I just thought they were like snake oil. For some reason, I don't know why. I just thought, these guys are just trying to sell you some stuff to make you spend some money. But no, it's legit. You really, really need to invest in some kind of treatments, whether it's DIY. Kyle's got some great videos on how to build them. You know, if you're even just halfway handy, you can build those and put some cool custom fabric on the front. Add
They're
some
not hard to
designs.
make.
Mm-mm.
I mean, if you have a staple gun and drill with some screws, you don't even need like a nail gun. I use a nail gun with mine, but
Mhm.
you can
Get a
screw them
pneumatic
together.
liquor,
And
though.
oh yeah,
Don't do the hand ones. Your arm will
like I
fall off
did.
of it.
Yeah,
Get in one
Yeah.
that's run on a small air compressor,
for
or
sure.
even
The
electric.
battery powered ones they have now too. Yeah. Couple fairly common tools really, and it's not super expensive. I mean, you can get custom printed acoustic panels with whatever pictures you want on them, family pictures, even stuff like that,
Mhm.
and anywhere from like $30 to $45 per panel. Really, once you make a couple of them and price it out, it's really not terrible.
Yeah. Well, you're going to spend over $100 a panel if you buy them, you know, so in comparison, 2/3 it'll save you if you can, if
Yeah.
you're willing to put forth the effort and do them yourself. I got a Youth Man deal on mine, which are actually right back here. That was in my theater room before. GIK did some sponsored videos with me and sent me a whole bunch of them. But these, I mean, there's nothing fancy to them. I mean, they're even kind of crooked and they're not real greatly made, but they made a huge difference in my room. So as long as you've got the right fabric and the right thickness, then they're going to work. So, and then it's up to you to make them look kind of presentable and match your room, or, you know, color coordinate and so forth. So cool, man. And Mark, he says he's right along with you. He's just getting around to treatments. He needs some treatment. So good deal. Glad you're getting some. All right. So see, we've got Davi started there. All right. Okay, here we go. Good question. So Chris Contreras, what would you say is the highest price speaker that you've listened to and weren't impressed with? Dang. Oh,
Do we want to go down this rabbit hole?
Yeah,
I
that
will.
might
I
be
don't
trouble.
no. So to the only like really, really high end, like we had the,
Let's go down this rabbit hole, because a lot of these brands and stuff we're gonna have no association with.
yeah.
I think
I
it's
mean,
Not
the one-
anymore.
yeah, the ones that I've heard were at there's a local show here, pretty high end show, Florida Audio Expo. They have some really, really eclectic. Is eclectic the word? It's just really like eccentric. I don't know if it's eccentric or eclectic, but it's kind of bizarre looking, speakers, and they're weird shapes, and they're just uber way on up there. A couple $100,000 a pair.
Wilson.
No, it wasn't Wilson though. These were just some. I couldn't even tell you who they were. And you sit down and you go, man, like I should be transported to another dimension with that price tag, and I just didn't feel like I was. So, and again, I don't know the name of the brand, but so yeah. So maybe I didn't really answer that question. So, have y'all heard some particular speakers that
I'm interested to hear what Jonathan has to say.
Yeah, you've been to
half the stuff when
Axpona.
you go to Expona kind of like makes you wonder that same question, Michael,
Mm.
where you're
Half
like,
is
whoa,
an understatement.
whoa, these are
Okay,
expensive.
so
for
it
what
is
I'm hearing.
eclectic or esoteric. I don't know. Okay, so either one of those.
My experience was actually, and I'm not going to say the guy's name because he's a do-it-yourself guy, and I just don't want to do
Yeah.
that.
Sitting right here,
But-
man. What are you doing?
No, it's not Life
Gosh.
of Bliss.
Live of Bliss.
We at one of our speaker comparisons probably 10 years ago at this point,
Mhm.
somebody brought in a well-known do-it-yourself vendor. Like he sells plans, and these were kind of a unique design. They had 6 piezo tweeters and kind of a wedge shape, and that's as far as if you know do-it-yourself, you'll know where I'm going.
Mhm.
They sounded like had a set of speakers out of a Cracker Jack box. They were awful. They were so awful.
Man, I was eating the wrong kind of Cracker Jacks then.
That's
You
hilarious.
were getting speakers,
So-
and I was getting little plastic rings.
Everybody,
DIY speakers. I like it.
everybody ran out of the room. They were so bad.
Wow.
And we were all like looking at each other grimacing, like these are just awful. The sharpest, most piercing treble you could imagine. Like that. So then the guy that brought them, that had built them, he was saying like, God, maybe they just need some EQ. These are they're not good raw out of the box, but we'll EQ them. So he spent about 4 hours that night EQing them. We were all in the upstairs, like watching TV and waiting for him to EQ. He calls us back downstairs, and they still we gave him like 5 minutes, and everyone was like, no, these are just trash. Get these out of here. So, yeah.
I'm going to say Wilson.
Okay.
I've not been to a lot of shows, so I can't say like super high end stuff, but I had some Polk LSIMs. They sounded super muddy in my room.
Mm.
Like I did not like them. I had those before the DIY sound groups that I built, and I put them up against some swope towers that I built, some DIY swopes, and I did not like the LSIMs.
Now, and on the contrary, there are plenty of people on my channel that when I did some reviews of the Polk Reserve series, they're like, "Oh man, I love my LSIMs." And so
A lot of people like them, and yeah, I mean, I tried. I just maybe I didn't. People are saying I didn't have enough power going to them. I didn't have an external amp. I was just running them off a receiver, and I don't know. They sounded muddy to me, and I didn't have room treatments in my room either at the time, so that probably had a little bit to do with it. But yeah, I mean, for a multitude of reasons, probably. But I just didn't like the way they sounded.
Yeah. See, like Chris, he said he's got the he started to go with the LSIMs, but he ended up getting the RTI A's instead, and they're superb. So, Tristan said a lot of people have bad hearing. True. True. Predominator says, can acoustics be applied to one side of a home theater and still have a great effect if that was the only option or by choice? Interesting. I've never heard somebody, have a dilemma where they couldn't put it on both sides.
Maybe it's an open concept.
I think some is better than nothing for sure.
It depends on if you're off center. It can make sense to, like I do that in my room where I have this side treated more because I'm off center, and it opens up that sound, so it sounds larger than it is because it absorbs a lot of sound on the side. So yeah, I mean,
I know we
Makes
can't
it
see
like
Jonathan. All I see is blue over there.
No, I see it. It's there.
you guys
I'm
have seen
messing
it
with
every
you, man. I'm
podcast.
messing with you.
Give them 3 seconds.
Here you go,
There's-
right
there's
there. Is that
dark
what you
over
want?
there. Look at that. That
Yeah,
looks
we'll make it warmer or
Ooh.
brighter or whatever you want. What are you after here?
I want some purple.
And
Give me
here
some
I go.
purple.
Here I go down the rabbit hole
Here you
again.
go.
He
There's-
keeps
there's
doing it to
purple.
me, and now I'm back on Philips Hue's website.
Hey there, dude.
Light envy over here.
He's just showing off right now. That's awesome.
You want them to dance to
Yeah,
music?
I mean,
or?
would y'all agree that like having some in a room, if it needs it, which most rooms do, I think having some on one side is better than not having any.
So,
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Predominator again. Dude, Predominator, you're predominantly asking all the questions in the chat. I see like 4 of them. But that's awesome, man. How did you guys learn a lot of home theaters or a lot about home theaters? Is there a school or something? I'm trying to learn more every day. I do a lot of Google research on the topic, but wondering if there's better assets. Great question, man. I know for me, it's literally self-taught, getting in my theater room, just playing, trying different things. What about you guys? Visiting other people's home theaters, just see how they've done it. Having people over to my home theater that know more than I do, and they're like, "Hey, let's try this." And I'm like, "Dude, that sounds so much better than what I did." And it's because they've got more knowledge in that area about me, whether it's mini DSP or whatever. What do you guys?
surrounding yourself with knowledgeable people and learning from them. I mean, same thing with any hobby. There's always going to be someone who knows more than you do about the subject. And if you can surround yourself with those people, whether it be, getting in the right forums online or the right local group, but just being around people who are very knowledgeable about it, you're going to learn from them just by listening to them talk and asking questions and that sort of thing. So for me, any hobby that I have, it's all getting on forums, learning about it on there, doing like the local theater get-togethers. I've only been to a few, but I learn stuff every single time that I'm there with you guys. So it's just surround yourself with the right people, I think.
Yeah. M-Wave is a great place to do it. So come hang out with us if you're in the U.S. If you're not in the U.S., man, take a trip. It's cool over here. What about you guys? Did y'all go to school to learn all this stuff?
Trial and error, buying different things, trying different things, going to different houses. I think for me, the biggest advancements in my knowledge was when I started participating in like the shootouts, and sometimes those are hard to get started. So you start it. If you can't find one in your area, you host it. Put it on AVS forum in the area theater meets. Say, hey, I'm going to do a speaker comparison. I have these speakers. Anyone want to bring some speakers over? You'll get some bites, and then you'll learn. Someone will bring over measure equipment. Maybe you don't have measuring equipment. First time I had a subwoofer meet, I didn't have any measurement equipment. I didn't even know what it was. This 2011 timeframe. Guy named Doug Council brought over his measuring equipment. He taught us a little bit about REW. Like, it just opens up all kinds of new avenues. You hear gear, you learn a little bit along the way, you get involved in hobbyists. Now some of my best friends in the whole world are just AVS forum guys that I've met in the past years. So it's worked.
And Bruce, you got a great thought here. Asking 64 questions every Sunday here will help a lot. And that's just in general, just asking questions. Don't be scared to ask what you consider might be a dumb question. Because I know on my channel, man, I love answering basic questions. Just recently, there was a guy that left a comment and he said something to the effect of, man, could somebody just point me to a video that tells me what an AV receiver is and like, what is an amplifier? Because I'm like at that point, I want to build my dream home theater, but I know nothing. And I'm like, you know what? I could type that out. But I'm like, I'm going to make a video on that. I love doing that. I love being able to share with the new guys that have those really, really basic questions. And so I just made a real quick video on like, what is an AVR, and just kind of explaining that in a real simplistic answer. And so definitely ask the questions here, ask them in forums, ask them in Facebook groups. There's a bunch of Facebook groups out there. Come to M-Wave. There's a lot of places you can do. There's other trade shows and AV events around the country and around the world. Try to get to those as well. So let's go. Should I just skip?
Hey, before we get going on the next question, I'm actually going to have to go. I've got probably 2 or 3 hours worth of work tonight. Hey, I can't just sit around here like Ryan and not do anything for M-Wave. I've got to get these boxes done.
Well, the longer we're on here, the more he's freaking out.
I didn't want you to come to M-Wave anyway.
I thought he was about to say I didn't want you to come on the podcast tonight.
Well, I didn't.
It was even worse.
Yeah. Well,
That
Kyle,
is true.
we appreciate you, brother. We're gonna have a blast. Kyle's gonna be at M-Wave 2023, 10 days from now. You guys can check out all the details. MidwestAVExperience.com. Dates on that, July the 14th through the 16th in Kansas City. And go subscribe to that dude, man. He's actually got some pretty cool stuff. Kyle is doing some build threads, or not build threads, but build videos on GST. He's got some videos coming for the stereo integrity. does a lot of DIY stuff. So if you're really handy, he's the go-to guy, man. So appreciate your friendship, brother. You and I've been friends for probably 3 or 4 years now.
Yep.
So
It's been a while.
he's a good dude.
Appreciate
man.
you guys having me on.
Yeah, dude.
Love
You're
you,
always
Ryan.
welcome.
I'll see you soon.
As you throw me under the bus.
I know you're busy. I just got to give you a hard time.
Get to finishing those GSG subs, man.
Mhm.
We'll see you at M-Wave in a couple weeks.
Thanks, Kyle.
Guys, good seeing you.
Yeah.
Later, bro.
Later.
All right.
God,
All right, Predominator, what is your guys' opinion on a home theater with acoustic treatment but with tile floor? Is carpet a must? Great question there. I'm gonna let you guys answer some of these instead of me just always starting off.
I don't think tile is like a elimination of a good theater. My first real home theater with like high quality components that had a JTR system was with a tile floor.
Mhm.
I loved it. I think what happens though, and it's kind of like Michael said, as you get exposed to different home theaters, you kind of realize, hey, this could be better. And so having some dampening on the wall and some dampening on the floor and stuff, you get less of an echo, less of a kind of a live sound. It just tones everything back a little bit, kind of reduces some of the chaos or the confusion and the reflected sound. So it's a better experience perhaps to have carpet, but it doesn't eliminate you from having a great experience. If all you can do is a tile floor in your room, enjoy it. You know.
Yeah. And my suggestion on that is if you've got tile, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to put down carpet, but maybe just get a big thick rug and put that down there. That'll tame some of those reflections so it's not as lively. So those are some things that you can do. Put area rugs down. If it's really, really thin, like the one I've got here, you can't see it, but you can kind of see it right here, right there. It's really thin, so it's not doing much acoustically for this room. But if you can get some kind of plush carpet, some kind of thick rug, I think that would help you. But that way you can try it both ways. You can even order it off Amazon. If it ain't what you like, roll it back up, ship it back.
I think the correct answer is just buy a JTR sub, disintegrate all the grout, and then replace it.
Dang. Hey, we've seen guys do that.
Yeah.
In this group right here.
Here, I want to show you this. Can you see that image?
Yeah.
That was
there
my theater in 2011 when we first did the first meet. So I had two JTR Captivator 20 hertz tuned and a couple JTR 228. And at that point, I ended up getting a third JTR 228 HT, but I had a Elemental Design center channel because I previously had 3 Elemental Designs. So I just started testing the JTR water.
Right.
So, you know, there's no acoustic treatment at all in this. It's drywall ceiling, it's tile floor. That was a live room. Yeah, but I loved it. And everybody who came over, to be quite honest, everybody who came over loved it too. Yeah. We just didn't know any better, right? We hadn't gone to any real nice rooms. And so like this was outstanding compared to what I'd known before. But it can be better.
Now, what would you think looking back on what you have now compared to that?
Certainly I would have looking back, I would put treatments in this room. Absolutely. But it was, I mean, it was still a blast. Like we still had a great time with that room.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
You are quite welcome, sir. Great questions, man. He's asking some good stuff tonight. So we'll throw this one up here. Non-home theater related. Ryan, do you prefer Coke or Pepsi? I've seen you consume both. Are you just a junkie for anything that you can
I actually prefer Pepsi.
Oh, where's that ban button? That stuff is trash, man.
Now, that's only on the diet side. On the non-diet side, it's Coke all the way.
Yeah.
It's only on the diet side. I think now I won't talk about this for very long, but the Coke Zero Sugar is actually a lot better than the Coke's Diet Coke. I don't know. It just depends. I guess I like them both.
I'm a Coke dude, but they caused me to have kidney stones for some reason.
Oh.
So
Diet Dr. Pepper is also pretty solid.
Had a couple kidney stones. I passed one that was 5 millimeters, and that was interesting.
No thanks.
And then I've had 2 surgeries. So, yeah. All right. Let's go back up here to comments. All right. Chris, will the Onkyo RZ50 support 7.1.4? You guys familiar with that model? I haven't reviewed that one.
Sheldon's got that one.
It should.
That one will do that.
Does. Yep.
Yeah, it certainly does.
An 11.2 channel AVR.
It would have. I mean, it would definitely have 2 subwoofer outs, and they'd be unique. Is that what you mean? Discrete 2 subwoofer outs.
Well, I'm just saying, like, or even 11.1. I mean, it'll handle 11 speakers is what I'm saying.
Yes.
'Cause that's a 7.1.
Yes, but I don't know if it looks like it might be 9 channels internally and 2 channels if you have external.
Yeah, a lot of
amplification.
them are on that price point until you get to like the 6700H and stuff, are 9 channels internally.
So he may need a 2-channel amplifier for those last 2.
Chris, if you need one, let me know. My distributor just picked up Onkyo.
Okay, cool. Hit him up there.
That's a nice little unit. My friend Sheldon, that I keep mentioning his name, but he really likes that one, and he's gone through a lot of gear over the years. So
Yeah.
I take his word for it.
Onkyo, I'm glad to see Onkyo making some good stuff. For a while, they just kind of, I think the biggest thing is when they dropped off, and not to say Odyssey is the best by any means, but when they stopped using Onkyo and went to their own, is it AQ EQ? I think
Yep.
it's theirs. That's just when like nobody was buying Onkyo. Like nobody. You'd never hear their names come up in the forums or Facebook groups. And so they just kind of went by the wayside. And it was all, you always heard Denon, Marantz, Yamaha, sometimes Pioneer.
I think the biggest thing that they got going for them now is that they went with Dirac.
That's what I'm saying. So I think because they're willing to get away from their own proprietary software, I think a lot of people are giving them a second look now, which is great because they used to provide probably one of the best bang for the bucks. They'd give you a ton of features, great pricing on that. So, all right.
Here, this one's related to the same conversation we were just having. So let's do that one. There you go.
Now, go ahead. Read it, brother.
Oh, well, you were just asking about Sheldon's home theater. Yeah, I mean he's one of the premium ticket holder stops this year. So you'll get an update in that. I don't know if you'll be doing videos or not, Michael. Do you think you will or not? Even so just capture a little bit of it?
Yeah, a little bit of it. So I've hired 2 videographers. So there's one from Orlando and then another one from Winter Haven. One of them you guys would know, which is Brad from Home Theater Gamer. So he's going to help me filming some of these. And so we'll capture some footage in there. Of course, there won't be a lot of demo stuff because YouTube flags all that. So it might be like,
event has changed so much now that we have 2 dedicated videographers coming this year.
Yeah, well, I think it'll help because think about this. All of the promotion I've done this year, you've seen nothing from last year. And in a way, it's good because last year looks nothing like what this year is going to look like. But I was so busy like running the event, helping you and ordering food and meeting people. I just didn't have time to film.
Now you just get to point and laugh at me when I'm running around dying.
No,
look at this guy.
I'll still be your go-to guy. Like, all right, what you need, Ryan? I know you're sweating. You need another Pepsi? I'll get you a Pepsi, bro.
With 3 days set up this year, I think it's going to be a lot better.
Yeah.
Last year was rough doing all of that in just a few hours.
Yeah. Super cool, man.
So speaking one more thing on Sheldon's, he sent me a video today of his Velvet flapping around in the breeze because he's upgraded to 16 18s in his room now.
It's active now?
It's active. It's going. He's got it all dialed in. And his
have you
Velvet,
been?
I haven't been over there since he's done it. His Velvet was literally like moving like you see in some of those crazy videos of the guys that do systems like that. So you're in for a treat if you're heading that way.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun, man. We're super excited. And speaking of that, man, Alex, thanks so much for stopping by. Huge super chat. So appreciate the $100 super chat. Just wanted to come by and show some love. Best of luck with M-Wave, fellas. I know you will knock it out of the park. So Alex, we've done a home theater tour of his home. He's got a beautiful home. He's got a Wisdom audio set up. We did that probably 4 or 5 months ago, I think, on the channel. And then we did a tour of Atlanta Home Theater. And since that video, Alex is now the CEO of Atlanta Home Theater. So I'm super pumped for him. Excited for what he's doing with Atlanta Home Theater. They've got a new website. They've done some major updates to their theater room. They've just built an incredible Ascendo. We talked about them earlier. And so I'll be flying up. I think it's in another month, maybe 2 months. May not even be 2 months. I forgot what date it is, but it'll be super soon. And so we'll be having some videos on the channel for that. And so I'm excited for him. And he also has some new subwoofers he's updated in his home theater. So probably on a separate trip, we'll be doing an updated home theater tour of his setup. So love and appreciate you, man. You've just been a great friend over the past several years. He's one of my OG subscribers too. He's been following my channel a long, long time. And I remember he reached out to me and he said, "Hey, Michael, when I get done, I'd love to have you up here." And I'm thinking, man, that's out of state. You know, I'd never gone really out of state for a home theater tour. So that was one of the first ones. But I'm like, I was so glad I did because he's got a killer home theater. His was the first one I've ever seen a hush box.
For the projector,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, whoa, what the heck's a hush box? So, but that was a cool trip because the one of the guys from Wisdom Audio flew in, the guy from Trenov flew in, John, and had Joe Walters from Wisdom Audio. We had the calibrator Chuck Gerlach. He drove in or flew in. So that was my first time doing a multi-person video. So that was just a super cool video. But Alex, appreciate you, brother. All right, let's go back up here. All right, what's the best bang for your buck 3-channel amplifier? Hopefully under $1,000. Best bang for your buck 3-channel? Probably a lot of stuff under $1,000 though.
Used.
Yeah, but that doesn't help him.
Well, I'm thinking.
And a couple of those Crown XLS 202s on eBay would be like a couple $100 for two of them. You can get them for about $100 a piece. They'll last 20 years.
So
And they're
Crown.
a couple hundred watts a piece. That's used. Maybe he doesn't want to go used. If he wants to go new, what do you say?
If you go new, I'm gonna say Buckeye HypeX NC252s in a 4-channel.
Yeah, even
the
Evativa I just looked, that's going to be above that. It's about 14.
It is now.
Yeah.
Wow, those used to be like
$1,400.
$400, $500, $600.
Yeah.
No.
Wow.
And the XPA 3 is $1,400.
What about that Nero amp? Was it in the company that was there last year that represented as one of the vendors?
OSD.
OSD.
Was it a Nero amp that was 3 or 5 channels? Am I remembering that right, or is that wrong name?
I think you're right. I think it is Nero OSD amplifier. Damn, it is. Got stereo amplifiers. I think they've got a 3-channel amplifier. Let me look here and see.
I think Andy Pixel Pusher 15 said that was a pretty decent amp. He was using it and liking it.
Yeah, so
it did really well at what it was able to push at M-Wave last year.
They're kind of budget conscious, I think.
But
yeah, they are.
I don't think it'll be the cleanest thing, but would you be able to hear the distortion? Or be
so
able to
150 watts by I think this is a 5-channel amplifier for $600, Class H. So
Class H I'm not stoked about, but
yeah,
I mean for the money that's pretty good.
That's the thing. I mean, if you're spending $600, I mean, there's a reason why it's $600. But if you're looking just budget friendly, another option would be Emotiva does make a basics series. Those are super affordable.
I mean, if you want super budget, Behringer A800s.
Yeah, they're good amps for the money.
They're really good. You're going to get them for like 300 or something bucks for a 2-channel chassis, and they're Class D. They're not the best distortion rated in Synad, but they do really well for the money. But if you want like a amp that you're never going to have to change around that price point, I'm going to say HypeX NC252 or NC502.
Yeah, so these aren't like super.
$1,000.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting 140 watts into 8 ohms. So this is what I always, and I don't know how much you can hear, but that's 0.1%.
You can, you're going to be able to hear it to some extent when
because that's high.
Your amps are up really high and there's nothing coming through them.
Not in playback though.
Not during playback.
Correct.
So
because here, think about this, Michael. Your speaker is typically rated in percentages, full percentage points of distortion.
Okay.
Like any speaker is.
Right.
So the 0.1, could you hear, let's say your speaker does 3% distortion or 5% distortion, which should be more typical numbers. Are you going to hear 3.1 versus 3.0?
I see.
No.
Not so much.
And that's what I'm saying. When you're looking at 0.1 and you see another one that's rated
0.001
or 001, you're like, all right, that's as far as percentage, that's huge. That's like 1/10 versus 1/100th. But can you hear that?
I don't think you can hear it unless it's off, unless it's just listening to the speaker with no audio coming.
But it does bother me. It did bother me to the point where I changed out my amps because of that. I mean, I had the 800s and they did a good job. My Renaissance could push them into protection if I really ran them hard.
Mhm.
But I'm of the opinion, buy once, cry once,
Mhm.
spend a little bit, spend the $1,000 and buy the Buckeye. You won't need another amp at that point. So I think I'm of the opinion, instead of buying super budget, which I think is great, you've already outlined that you've got a budget of about $1,000. Just
Mhm.
do the HypeX and be done with it, because that's an end game amp. You won't need anything else. It's got the distortion numbers to back it up, and it has. If you do the NC 502, it has tons of power, and it can drive virtually anything.
Yeah. Lots of folks saying they live near Atlanta. You guys are fortunate, man. That's a cool place to. That's like that's just a fun place to hang out.
So Bruce has a question while we're talking about this.
Yeah, hit it.
What exactly is Class H versus Class D? Class H actually has 2 power supplies that get switched back and forth depending on the power draw. Class D is going to be all digital. So Class H a lot of times comes up with like your really high output pro amps, like my QSC CX 1102s are Class H, and you can hear the fans kick on. They're typically not the quietest amps in the world, but they can put out huge amounts of power.
So in layman's terms, could this be somewhat similar to like a hybrid car, to where you've got battery and then gas? It's like something switches there physically.
Exactly. It runs on the lower amplifier first, and then when it needs the high power, it switches over.
Kicks in. Okay. So I try to make it simple for you guys, because that's the way I think, honestly. I'm just a simple guy. Predominator, another question, man. He says, is the Klipsch Home Theater Package 5.1 a good speaker setup for someone just starting out with a surround sound? If you're it depends. Klipsch has a ton of different. If you're talking about like the surround sound package, I'm thinking you're talking about their Cinema series, which is kind of like what I call a satellite system, where they're just really small speakers. I would probably push you to something like a Monoprice system. Monoprice has got some small budget speakers that probably perform better and may even measure better.
How much is that package? It's probably from Costco.
Like I said, it depends on what he's talking about. But if he's talking about, I think it's called the Cinema.
Isn't this the one that's on sale at Costco all the time, or am I thinking of something else?
I don't have Costco. I'll show you what I'm thinking he's talking about. And
A
let me know.
5.1 thing that is often used for computer speakers. Is that what you're thinking of, Michael?
Pretty much. I'll show you. It's this right here. So it's just a really small package. These are little satellites. I think there's probably 3-inch drivers in those speakers. I mean, is it a budget system? Decent, probably decent, but we kind of mentioned this earlier. I mean, I would be more apt to just save up a little bit more, look through your garage, see if there's some stuff that you can sell, save up a little bit more. What I typically see when people buy something like this is almost like a home theater in a box in a way.
Right.
Usually when they go that route, they're like, oh, I have surround sound now.
I need to upgrade it.
But it's not exciting. I mean, that subwoofer is going to be really, really small. It's going to have a really small amplifier. The speakers aren't going to be super capable. You can see the horn on that is really, really tiny.
So you're at $500 for this from Klipsch.com?
Yeah, I mean it's super affordable. I mean it's definitely cheap, but again, I think I'd be way more inclined to say, hey, look at the Monoprice.
How large are those drivers?
I bet they're 3 inches.
Where's the specs on this?
All right, I can't figure out how to get out of this.
If you really love this hobby, like if this is something you want to be passionate about,
that was $1,400.
Maybe it was not. That's just their MSRP.
Look at that, dude. That's a Youth Man deal. Go buy it today.
No, don't do that. Don't listen to Michael.
Let me scroll down here. I'll find out.
I think
they're
I don't see them.
Well, man, I can barely see the tweeter right there. That joker's little. It's in here. Usually what you have to do on the Klipsch website is come down to the very bottom, and then there's going to be a link that says
Additional resources. No.
Yeah, here we go. Right
Oh,
here.
there it is. Spec sheet.
Download. Yep. So yeah, let's do that one because I don't want the manual. Let me zoom in here for you. So these are going to be, look at the tweeter. 1 inch tweeter.
It's a 5 1/4.
Yep.
They're bigger than we think they are.
Yeah. So I thought they used to have one that was just super tiny. So again, I mean, you're only going to get so much with a 5 1/4 driver. And then the subwoofer is, what are we looking at there? Okay, so there's the center. They probably have another one. Here's the subwoofer. Subwoofer only digs down to 32 hertz. Not too impressive. 150 watt amp, so not a big amp. Is a 10-inch driver.
Yeah.
But think about this. It's only 24 pounds. So it's a small.
Its maximum total output is 112 dB.
Correct. Yeah.
I don't even think it get that loud, fellas. But
No.
But like I said, I mean, it's just
Close
not going to
mic,
be.
maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, if you could find this for less than that,
I mean, $500
Maybe.
is cheap.
It
So-
doesn't sound that bad on a price, but I think it's one of those systems you'll get, and if you really love this hobby, you'll be upgrading within a year. And there's not anything salvageable on there on your
No.
road of your journey. It will all be sold and replaced with something else.
I
But-
think what you should do is do some of the I don't know. Where I was
There's a
going.
caveat with that though, because a system like that can easily move into like a living room space or something and be
That's a good point.
satisfactory there if you want to go that route. So
Mhm.
I would be of the opinion you do something like a 2.0 system to start and then slowly start adding to it. That's what I would do.
Yeah. So even I think Bruce, let me scroll down here. Bruce, he had a comment. No, it was Chuck. Sorry. Chuck says, I agree. I bought 2 of the Clips theater systems, but ended up selling them and upgrading to older paradigm, which sounds way better.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's this is really something where used gear is going to go a lot further at that price point.
yeah.
And I think it's going to be worth it to try and find some used stuff. It's just going to be way, way more capable
Yeah.
than that.
Yeah. And like Chris says, I wouldn't buy Kippish either. That's like a white van speaker. Who knows who makes that brand? So might need to learn how to spell Klipsch. So, and that's going to be preference. Some people love Klipsch. I actually prefer Klipsch over, not every Klipsch, but because Polk makes some great speakers. I like
We're going to
their-
have them directly head to head in the blind speaker comparison.
Oh, that'd be interesting too.
The new
Like,
the
like
flagship
Ethan
bookshelf
down.
from Klipsch against the flagship R200s from
Oh,
Polk.
yeah. All right. See, he got it right this time. Good deal, man. Proud of you, Chris. All right. Jay, question for Jonathan. Do you know what speakers are the best to listen to? Share.
who share?
There's got to be a speaker that makes Share sound good, right?
I don't know what this is about. Is it my RGB lighting? Now I'm going to white right now. That's I don't know what this caller's talking about. Move on to the next question.
Yeah, that'd be hard. I'm jealous of Kyle's beard.
He does have a good beard.
Yeah, everyone's jealous of the beard.
Uh,
Ender Robinson, I replaced my Onkyo with a Denon 4800H. I actually have that one in for review. It sounds good, but I've noticed that I listen to much closer to reference with the Denon, even though the Denon is a more powerful receiver. Why would this be?
Could be your calibration.
Yeah, was the Onkyo calibrated to reference? So that'd be the first thing. If you ran,
Are you running the same number of speakers?
that and remember those mics can be very different. The bundled mics
Mhm.
have a plus or minus 2.5 dB tolerance. So 5 dB swing is within allowed spec on Odyssey mics.
right?
If your Onkyo was running Odyssey and your Den is running Odyssey, there could be legitimately 5 dB of difference and way more than that in practicality, because when we did our 2014 Auto EQ mate, we had like 10, 12 dB difference between all those
Wow.
EQs that were
That's
supposed
huge.
to be reference.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
You know what we should do? We should bring a bunch of those mics and do it at M-Wave just to see what they do.
No,
Yeah.
we shouldn't, Ryan.
Yeah.
Not this year.
No, I didn't. I didn't.
Okay, I'm
I
saying,
just want to
man.
see it.
You're like sweating it right now.
I'm
man.
not saying we
Add
do it.
another thing to your plate.
We have to do it. I'm saying if we have time to be able to do it, because we
We
can
don't
just
have
throw them on
time.
the AV10 and
We got
see what
3
it
days.
does.
We need 7 days to do everything you want to do. Chris says, which one do you prefer, Dolby Atmos or Oro 3D? Great question, man.
Mm.
I've heard a bunch of home theaters, and I've heard Oro 3D setups. I've heard Dolby Atmos setups.
What's there, like four movies
It
for
wasn't-
Oro 3D?
Yeah, yeah. So that's the biggest thing. And some people say, oh, but they have the Oro up mixer. And here's my personal thought. I prefer Dolby Atmos. I do like what Oro 3D does with 2-channel music up mixed to Oro 3D. I like that. That actually sounds really good. But that, in my opinion, is the only thing I'd be interested in. So, and like I said, I've heard some Oro 3D setups. So they were actually laid out for Oro 3D. But that's just me. You guys have any
I think
experience with
something's kind of interesting on that Oro 3D. I was trying to figure out one time, and I think I've shared about it on a previous podcast, why people seem to like that Oro 3D. So I did some measurements with at the time it was an Onkyo 4550 or 4520 Ci, if I remember right. Sorry, Denon. Saying all the wrong things. At any rate, what I figured out through measurement with my OmniMic is that the Oro 3D was adding harmonic distortion. So you can see with OmniMic, you can see how much harmonic distortion is in the signal, and the main frequency response plot was like at the same exact level, but the harmonic distortion underneath was really raised up with Oro 3D. So it's interesting because harmonic distortion, we always think like that, you don't want any extra distortion, but it can be pleasing. You can think of it in some ways, if they add it to the right ways, it can be like a chord. So instead of a bass being a single note, you know how a chord on the piano sounds richer because there's like 3 notes playing.
Right. You're hearing more
That's a
information.
simplistic way of describing it, but it's basically adding, it's making the bass sound thicker, it's making the bass sound fuller, that type of thing. So that was an interesting little observation, I think.
So was that only with the bass frequencies, or with mid-range?
So the OmniMic is just giving you an overall frequency spot, and it was most different at the bass. It seemed to be the higher, more telling portion of the bass that was added harmonic distortions.
Well, Marantz does this. That's what really sets Marantz apart from Denon, is that effectively, quote unquote, distortion chip, where they're introducing a level of pleasant distortion that people like. And you can tell the difference if you know what you're looking for, and you know if you know you're switching to a Marantz. I challenge you to be able to tell the difference blind, but it's there and you can tell.
Cool. We're going to blaze through some of these. So Finster says, with the new laser projectors, what is their lifespan, and what happens when the laser stops working? With bulb projectors, you just replace a lamp. When a laser stops working, is it done? So the short version is, we haven't seen the lifespan of lasers for the most part because they're relatively new. Most of them quote 20,000 hours versus, like, my projector says about 3,000 hours on the bulb. And so for the most part, when a laser stops working, you buy a new projector. But if you think about it this way, 20,000 hours on a laser, that's a long time. Even if you watch a lot of content, let's just say, even if that's 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, more than likely by that time, you're probably going to want a new projector anyway. Technology is going to be changed big time. So I think it's going to, if it'll last that long, if it'll give you pretty much close to that 20,000 hours, I think that you're going to want to replace that projector. But that's
and keep in mind, it's just that 20,000 hours is to half brightness, not to death. So you should still
Yeah,
how much people are
at
using.
20,000 hours though is rated at low.
Oh, is it really?
Yes, that's true too.
So what would you get on high? Because I ain't running on.
Don't
low.
know.
Nobody's measured it. Okay, maybe 10.
So I think there's some really JVC's had lasers for a couple iterations now, right? Because they had the kind of a higher number, 2,500 or something like that. Ryan, remind me, 4,500. So it's not, they're not brand new to JVC. JVC's had some experience with it. They do lose brightness. I mean, it's not just like a gimmick, but it's much slower, as Michael's saying. And that 20,000 to 50% brightness, its projector's still usable at 50% brightness. You're at 50% brightness on a bulb in 1,500 hours. You know,
that's
so
why I swap mine out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good question there. Predominator, have you guys watched Avatar 2 in your home theater? How was the experience, the picture, and sound? I have not.
I haven't either.
I have.
Do you like it?
Yeah. That was the first time I'd seen it.
Cool.
It was really good. The visuals are amazing. I mean, that's what that film's made for. I enjoyed it.
Steven says, where can I get audio treatments for 1,000 square foot basement reasonably priced? The best place, you think so?
I don't
All right.
know. Acoustics.
Now I was gonna say, I mean, if you can build them, you're gonna
If he can build them, yes,
you're gonna save the
absolutely.
most money. So Ryan has Vicoustics. He's a dealer for them. I can tell you the ones I have aren't super affordable. I don't think they're not like affordable, but they're not cheap. They're probably
Gick?
$110 a piece.
Gick?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
about
good.
110.
Gick
Yeah.
used to have like $50 and $70 panels. Has
They've
has
gotten way
COVID
more
made it gone up?
expensive.
They're way more than that now.
I'm
Yeah.
more about 110 a piece.
Yeah.
So for the what they call the combo panels. So they've
Mhm.
got a plate on the front. So
Yep.
but yeah, that's not what I would consider like super budget friendly kind of thing.
No, I will not come over and build your own panel. I mean, if
That's
you
all.
live locally, I may do that, but I'm not traveling to build you a acoustic panel.
For $50 a panel, will you do it?
Smock91 says, if you have a ported 15-inch sub like a FV15 HP,
Good
can you put a
sub.
sealed 10-inch sub as a near field and EQ with mini DSP? I already own both subs. Awesome question, brother.
Try it.
Do you think the 10-inch would be worth it at near field though?
I'll be right back. I'm going to show you something.
Oh. I like show and tell, man.
Yeah.
All right, while he's doing that, I'll hit this one real quick. Does Ryan sell a star ceiling? Because I'm too lazy to make one. Oh, I got you. You sell one already prefab?
No.
All right. Yeah, good luck.
We can,
Everybody,
if you want to look into that, you can reach out. I can tell you right now they're not cheap.
yeah. And you got to build them yourself. Usually you got to
10
build the
inch.
holes and all right, let me make you big here, buddy.
10-inch near field. I tried it
Let me hide
because I
this.
didn't really want those big 18-inch boxes behind there.
Mhm.
But notice the
I-
18-inch boxes are behind there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I blew this up because I was trying to get even a quarter as much as I felt from the 18 out of
Right.
this. And this is a beefy 10. I mean, they don't even make 10s that much beefier than this. So no,
It starts
unfortunately
smoking.
not. Started clicking, cooked it.
Smoked it, baby.
And I would say that one, it's not going to have the output, and two, trying to integrate that. Granted, it is a near field with your ported is just could introduce problems.
Yeah.
So the near field rely on that physical distance that we've talked about. You need to have it close. The 10-inch, you have to have it much closer than the other, and the cone's just not moving as much as an 18-inch cone, and there's not as much exposure to your back or
Mhm.
goodness, like a 24. That's like kind of the ultimate feel from a near field. The 10 is just too small. It's too low to the ground. Now, that said, we talked about this on a podcast before. You can attach it right to the back of the chair.
Yeah.
If you're willing to tear up your home theater chair and like mount it to the chair, that's way more than enough.
But the
sit on
best way to
floor is
do
so
that is
low.
to wait for those JBLs to go on sale and then buy those.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm not sure that the 10-inch is gonna do much there for you, buddy.
I wouldn't waste your time with it.
Tyler says, is the highest number on recommended power on the specs the same as max power? If so, is there any point in getting an amp that does more than its highest recommended power? What do you think?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Let me read it again.
So when a speaker spec says recommended power amplification, like 150 to 300 watts, is that the maximum power
No.
handling of the speaker?
No. I mean, well, I always recommend even doing twice the amplifier than your rated speaker. That's just me. Because my thought is if you use some common sense and don't crank that thing wide open and overdrive it, I would much rather have more power and you like have the amp just kind of cruising along than have less power with that thing maxed out trying to get the same power. So that's my thought. So if I had, say, for instance, speakers that were rated 150 watts, I had no problem putting 200 watt per channel, 250 watt per channel amplifier on it.
I think that question's going to be subjective depending on the manufacturer, because there's no spec that says or rule that says that has to mean anything.
Mm-hmm.
It could be half that power and they just want you to have X amount of power available in the amplifier. I don't think there's any correlation between that.
Possibly. Tier says, if dual subs are equal distance to the main list or to the listening position, would getting a mini DSP add anything over what Dirac does on my Pioneer Elite that treats the two subs as one?
So Room EQ is not infallible. Room EQ can actually introduce a lot of its own problems. So relying on something like Dirac, even though it's good, and thinking that it's going to give you the best result is going to lead you into potentially a world of hurt. My recommendation, when at all possible, is do things manually.
Mm-hmm.
1, it's going to end up as a better result. 2, it's a huge learning opportunity for you to take, because it's going to open up the need for you to understand a lot more about the acoustics and sound and what's going on in the room. And it's going to give you a better understanding of what is actually occurring in your room in order to make this actually occur. So my recommendation is to do it manually through the mini DSP. Now, if you don't want to do that, I think Room EQ does a decent job, but I personally think that manual EQ virtually every time is going to give you a superlative end result.
Scott Newby, appreciate the super chat, buddy. He says bass, 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 bass.
I don't know what Scott's talking about. He doesn't have any subwoofers in his room.
Yeah, Scott is on another level, man.
What happened to your 3000s that you bought? Then you posted a picture of some 6000 stacked right next to your face. So what happened to the 3000s?
He's got like 18s in his room or something now.
Well, he bought these SVS or traded these SVS 3000s.
Right.
And then he was going to put them on top of a JTR 6000.
Mm-hmm.
And then he talked about it. And then the next thing I knew, he posted a picture about stacked 6000s right next to his seat.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if he was like, I'm not getting the concussion I want. I need more slam. And just went from the 3000s to the 6000s. And what happened? I want to know.
Yeah, he's on another level, man. Tier says, okay, we did that one. All right, let me unstar that. Dwayne, what speakers should I replace first? Surround back speakers or my center? My current ones are old. Is a center speaker really needed? Great question, man. I would 100% say I would recommend, if you're not satisfied with your center channel, absolutely go there. Some people suggest that there's like 80% of everything that you hear in a movie is going to come through that center channel speaker. So that is one that you don't want to skimp on. My opinion, subwoofers, same thing. So surround backs, especially surround backs. Your side surrounds are more important than surround backs. So I think, 100%, I would do center over surround backs first if you're trying to do them, as funds become available. You guys have a different opinion?
No, I agree fully.
Center all the way.
All right, Terminator Juice. If I added a 3-channel amp to power my LCR, how would the power of my Yamaha AVR then be divided up with other 5 bed layer speakers? Would it take the max watts and divide by 5? Great question, man. Typically with an AVR, if you remove some of that power, so let's just say in your case, you've got your LCR and then you have 5 speakers on top of that. Is that what he's saying? No.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but how would he even have that? You got an
I don't
LCR.
know. What he says he has.
You can't have 5 speakers unless it's a voice of God. That's weird.
Kind of a strange
setup.
configuration.
Yeah. So I'm not real sure about that, but the reality, let's just say you have 7 bed layer speakers and you get a 3-channel amplifier. So now you're only powering 4 speakers from your AVR. So as far as how that divides it up, I don't know exactly mathematically, but they're going to get more power than they were if all 7 were utilized. And the other thing to realize too is when you're watching a movie, let's just say, for instance, your AVR is 140 watts by 5. and let's just say it can actually deliver that. At no point in the movie is it sending 140 watts to all 5 of those speakers. Some speakers are pretty quiet during that scene, you know. Other speakers are going to be firing at different levels, and so I don't think that's why it's always difficult to say, okay, each speaker is getting this amount of power. I mean, I think it's going to be like this, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be high and low. And, but the short version is you're going to get more power to those bed layer speakers if you offset your LCR with a 3-channel amplifier. But as far as how much, don't know. Chris says, Jonathan, want to bring up what's going on after the first night of M-Wave.
Yeah, Chris has set up a movie night, and there's probably
Oh.
about, I don't know, over 20 people, I think, joining from M-Wave. It's Mission Impossible, the new one that's coming out.
Awesome.
So you can reach out to Chris on Discord if you want to join us. You know, there's people from all over the United States that are going to do that, and probably more will be coming in. So we're kind of taking over Dolby Prime Theater, I think, or maybe it's IMAX Theater. Actually, I think is what we ended up at.
I would love to go, but I just told him, I said, look, there is no way I can commit to that because there is no telling what we're going to be doing. You know, literally.
Let me look up the actual theater so I can just tell people in case they don't want to join the Discord, or if Chris is on the IMAX Laser. And it's at Barry Woods, if I remember correctly, but I'm going to validate that right now.
Yeah, he did say IMAX Laser.
Chris, is it the one at Barry Woods? Remind me. We'll come back to that one. Okay. But yes, well, I'll try to get the seat and I'll come back to it myself. So let's move on and we'll come back.
He said, so far we're the only ones in that theater at Barry Woods. Perfect.
Yep. Barry Woods is a real nice theater. That's one of the best ones in Kansas City, I think. So that'll be a nice show.
Jonathan, question for you from Jay. Can we get a Jonathan Von England seating update?
I don't know. After that chair comment, I don't know, man. Yeah. So, I mean, I already kind of mentioned in the podcast earlier, we built the riser. A couple buddies of mine from Kansas City here helped me on Saturday or Sunday build the riser. Saturday, I guess it was. I got to still build the step in front of it and paint it.
I was about to say, I was wondering how you're going to get up there.
Oh yeah, it's 16 inches tall. Let me turn on the white lights. 16 inches tall, 12 foot wide, 32 inches deep.
Nice.
And it'll be real nice. It gives you enough clearance to see over the top to the screen.
That's awesome, dude.
The chairs are super comfortable. Both my buddies that were over here helping with the riser were like, dang it, you're gonna make me buy new chairs too. So everybody pretty much likes the chairs. They're super wide for fat boys like me. And really comfortable, really plush, really comfortable.
And you didn't spend a ton for them, so that's great.
Yeah, I got them directly off the Alibaba app from
China.
It
took 6 months to get there, but
it took a long time, but they came. I felt them at Nebraska Furniture Mart. I didn't order blind. I really loved them. They didn't have them in anything but white leather at Nebraska Furniture Mart. I tracked them down and found them in black leather and ordered them on Alibaba app.
It was a journey.
Oh, Bruce. Bruce says Jonathan's just gonna sit there and boost people up.
give him a leg up. Yeah.
Schmuck 91. Any news on the new Epson projectors that just got teased?
What?
Y'all know anything? Oh, let me pull you
Make
down.
me not big. There.
I know. I was trying to.
What got teased?
Some new Epson projectors. Is there a new model that got announced somewhere?
I didn't hear anything.
I didn't either.
Let me look.
Ryan's
here.
a dealer, so he probably would know if there was new word coming out.
Now let's see.
I still see them advertising the LS 12,000 heavy on Facebook ads, so I don't think so. Wouldn't they be
Can you give
advertising
us
the new thing?
Can
you give us
a
an
link?
update? I mean, there's like the smaller ones, the Powerlight L570U, L770U, and a L775U. That was back in March, though, so that was a couple months ago.
I demand a link. You can't be making claims like this and then not provide.
Yeah, let us know
data.
as far as what you've heard, or everything I'm seeing is a little bit older news on these L770U. So nothing really. Wait a minute. No, that's old news. That was
Man, the
back in-
projector market usually updates models every couple years, don't they? More
Yeah.
so. So the LS 12,000 is just a year old.
Okay, let us know if you've
It'd
heard
have
something.
to be a new model.
Okay, we did that one. Erod, Do you have any experience with RBH signature bookshelf speakers, which look like are fairly affordable in terms of performance and value? Don't hear much about them. Only person I know that really has those and talks about those would be Gene
Gene.
from Audioholics. He's real close with those guys. He's got a full RBH system. So honestly, he'd probably be the best person to reach out regarding those. I've only heard them maybe once, and that was at Audio Advice Live. And then his system, like I said, he's got RBH, his old system actually, but I haven't heard like just their bookshelves. Chris Contreras, does it make any difference to plug in Ethernet cable to TV or amplifier?
I mean, if you want to use the apps, yes.
How would you hook up an Ethernet to an amplifier?
Maybe he's talking about the AVR.
Like AVR, okay. Yeah, it just depends. I mean, to me, I've got Ethernet hooked up to my AVR or a processor, so it can get updates. Yeah, so I think hook them up to both of them.
I want to go back to that M-Wave comment real quick because the Mission Impossible movies, it's at the Barry Woods IMAX. It's at 10 p.m. showing.
Okay.
And it's the Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning deal. So if you're interested in going on Friday night and want to meet us there, feel free.
Okay. Gibby, appreciate the $5 super chat. How long after M-Wave does Ryan say never again? What Martin Logans does he have in his home? Great question.
So last year with M-Wave, it took me. We said we wouldn't talk about M-Wave for like 2 weeks, and we were talking about it within 30 minutes.
Yeah, on the way to his house with a
Yeah.
truck loaded up. And
Yeah.
what did I have? Oh, I had a projector screen like
Yeah,
sitting on my head, and so I'm riding like this. So we had
I think
tons
that
of-
was Rusty's.
yeah. Oh yeah,
What Martin Logans do I have in my room?
a lot.
A few.
Which ones don't you have? Wouldn't that be easier?
There's plenty that I don't have, but the ones that I have in the room are the Renaissance that you can see here, and then behind me, you can see it kind of down there on the floor, barely. The 34C, then EFX or the base layer surround channels. The rear surrounds are the baby ESLs. I've got 7 of the C100 center channels that are all my tops and then my front height. And then the left and right front heights and left and right rear heights. And then the Voice of God are all 35 XTIs. So a few.
So here's the follow-up to, so Tar Hoya says they announced a new wireless 1080p projector.
Well, that's cool.
So not too big of a fan. Again, 1080p, and not that I'm a 4K snob, but 1080p just will not work with 100.
Yeah, but the wireless ones, I mean, if they're talking about what I think they are, they're like the little ones that you can deploy really quick to light up a wall and stuff like that. I mean, those are cool, and I think they have an awesome space as long as they're in a correct price point.
Yeah, I just can't do it on my theater. It's too big, 150 inch. Wouldn't really do much for me. So Eric says, have a 5.1 currently. Thoughts on adding rear in-wall surrounds and in-ceiling Atmos that are not the same manufacturer? Recommendations for speakers. I always love people just give us a blank. Hey, who do you recommend? Lots of good speakers out there, man.
I typically recommend manufacturer matching if you're happy with what you have.
Yep.
Timber matching is a thing.
Yeah. And then Jonathan will tell you, get the same exact speaker if you can. That's even better.
Yeah, but we all started, we've talked about that before. We all started with Frankenstein builds and
100%.
went on from there.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I think at the very least, you want the same tweeter.
If
Yeah.
you can, I mean, when you didn't have matching speaker, you still enjoyed it. I did too.
Yeah,
We gotta.
we all enjoyed it.
Mhm.
Mine aren't matching. I mean, I'm the only one here that doesn't have the matching, I guess.
Yeah.
But I
Mike,
can't put electrostatics on my ceiling. Otherwise, I would.
You probably have. I would assume there's some sort of voicing attempt to match between at Martin Logan.
There's
Like,
very good voicing matching between the electrostatics and the AMTs.
Mike Larry says, question, 2 SVS SB 4000s or 1 Paradigm XR13. I'm a big fan of dual subs. Myself, I haven't heard that particular model. I've heard the PB. I'm sorry. SB 4000. No, I haven't heard the 4000s.
What is the XR13?
I'm gonna pull it up here. Paradigm. If the XR13 is a better sub, buy it, and then
It's a $5,000 13-inch sub.
yeah, that's
No,
yeah, that's high.
do the dual SB 4000s.
I mean, it's got good ratings. I mean, it's 2200 watt continuous amp, rated down to 12 hertz. So definitely it's got a good frequency response.
I highly doubt. I mean, that down to 12 hertz is probably like at -6.
Could be.
Here's this thing I see pretty regularly anymore, it seems like, because people kind of get excited about 18s and upgrade. I see those PB13 Ultras on sale for a couple $1,000s for a pair pretty regularly. Those are pretty capable little subwoofers.
Which ones?
The PB13 Ultras from SVS, like with the sledge amps or even the old bash amps.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get them used on the forums pretty much all day long for a couple thousand. So $1,000 a pop. That's not a bad way to go for a couple $1,000s. It would satisfy a lot of people and that would be done.
So here's what's interesting. So with that Paradigm, so they quote 12 hertz, right? You're like, oh man, 12 hertz, that'd be amazing. But here's what Ryan's talking about. If you look right here, we've got plus or minus 3 dB at 17 hertz. So that means probably at 12 hertz, it is down quite a bit from that, or it would have been included in this rating right here.
Well, and that 17 is probably already 3 dB down.
But that's what I'm saying. So if it would have been within 3 dB, this 12 hertz would have been in this number right here, and it's not. So to me, this number is kind of pointless at that point. So it's a cool looking sub for sure. And it probably is very, very capable.
Every day, all day in that comparison.
But yeah, man, get two of them PB4000. Unless you got a massive room, and they'll definitely rock for sure.
I had to look up DIN, to be honest. I'll be truthful here because I hadn't seen that before. Apparently, it's a German standard. It means that in room, it's supposed to be the -3 dB point in room. So that's what the delta is there. Maybe the 17 is the American one. And
I don't know about that. I mean, usually my in-room response is pretty close to whatever the measured response is supposed to be.
Dude, I love Bruce's comment. He says, just because Paradigm is Canadian, you guys just can't handle it. I love it.
They're true. The subs are too pretty.
Yeah.
They're not, Dynamat, big boxes with giant subs.
Yeah, that was interesting.
They're intimidating us.
I did notice that too, Bruce. He says, why did the sub say on axis? You don't really have an off axis response with subwoofers. That's pretty interesting. Chris, I'm gonna throw this one in here. I probably shouldn't, but what are your thoughts on Bose speakers? Have you ever owned them? It appears they're more geared for consumers who aren't audio enthusiasts. You nailed it. So we all were told back in the 90s that Bose was,
they had some good speakers. Then they went to like this little microcube thing, and it just got weird.
They probably had one good speaker over the years that I know.
I said some because they made multiple of that same speaker.
You always heard the phrase "no highs, no lows. It must be Bose."
Yeah.
Did you guys ever hear that one?
Yeah, it was the biggest struggle I have with Bose is that, like you said, they're marketing towards consumers that really aren't in the know. Because I just take like my friends, for example, the ones that aren't into home theater, that's their go-to. They're like, oh man, I've got a Bose system, or Bose is a good speaker, right? Because like you said, they just don't know any better. They haven't heard any other speakers. And so Bose just did a great job marketing, and they make a decent speaker for a decent, sound, but you're never going to get near reference with those, especially thinking back to like the Bose cubes and the bass module. It's not a dedicated subwoofer. It's a passive bass module. Usually the bass module is like 6.5 inch woofer. So, physics are going to limit you there. The mid-range, or if you pull the little speaker cover off of the little cubes, it's like a 2-inch driver. There's no tweeter in it. It's a mid-range driver. So it just, and the whole thing's made out of plastic. So there's a lot of resonance there. So definitely You're in the know, so go find something else. So yeah, that we don't really hear much about them in the audiophile world. So Terminator Juice, is there a calibrated SPL meter out there for the DIYer? Do you think the $40, I'm assuming Amazon SPL meters can be accurate?
Yeah. I have, I
Does-
think, a
Does he need
$40
a,
Amazon.
does he need a
SPL meter.
professional SPL meter, I guess is what
Well,
he's
if
saying.
he has a measurement mic, he has an SPL meter.
Yeah, like a Behringer or a U-Mic one.
mic or an Omni mic or any of those
Mhm.
are going to give you that.
True. All right. Let's hit these last couple real quick. Boom. George, Denon 4800 clips. Just read through those model numbers real quick. Dolby Atmos surround. Do I add another subwoofer? So he's got the R12SW. So that's definitely one of their budget friendly, like their entry level subwoofers. So depending on how big your room is and how loud you like the bass, the fact that you're asking that question kind of tells me that you're wanting more. So I would definitely probably consider adding another subwoofer, whether it's that model or another ported subwoofer. Mike Johnson, what are your thoughts on Atmos aiming at the center position when you have 4 seats that are fairly wide using ceiling mounted speakers? Okay, so not in ceiling. Should they be aimed more off center? Okay, so he's got 4 seats, so he doesn't have a center seat. And he's saying, where does he aim those? Does he aim it at the center? Does he kind of aim it at the 2 middle seats? That's a good question.
I personally aim at the main
The 2
listening
middles,
position.
probably. Because if you aim it at the middle, then it's gonna get weird, I would think. Like
What
if
do
you
you
aim
mean?
it between the 2 seats.
Oh,
I
So he
I
said he's
kind of
got-
would probably tend to do like a 2/3 point on there, right?
Yeah.
Because you got a dispersion pattern that's not a strict laser.
Correct.
It
Mhm.
shoots off a little bit. So if you have it here and your center's here and it's kind of going this way, your center's still going to be pretty much on axis because you're going to get the wider dispersion extra,
Mhm.
and then your outside seats aren't at a loss. Because you aim it too tight from a really wide perspective, your
Mhm.
outside seats are going to be cut off. They're not going to
Yeah.
be in a good dispersion place.
So if you have 4, I guess what he's saying is, I wouldn't recommend aiming them both at the center
Mhm.
because then they're like you're aiming on the inside of these 2 guys. I would probably say either aim them at these 2 or like Jonathan's saying, maybe split the difference between this outside guy and the 3rd and 4th seat. Is that what you're saying, Jonathan?
Yeah, look up your dispersion
Kinda like right
characteristics. If it's like 90 degrees or something, use that to kind of gauge, draw it out on paper if you need to kind of gauge how wide to go.
Yeah.
But yes, certainly the point is if you aim those things at center and you're very wide seating, you may be on the outside limits of your dispersion, and those outside seats might not be better for it, and your inside seats aren't going to be that much different.
Yeah.
Not much improvement on the inside and bad on the outside type thing, potentially.
Dan Jones, what about infinite baffle near field in floor? My room is on a crawl space, and I'm thinking of trying a few 18-inch on the floor under the seats in an infinite baffle configuration. What do you guys think?
he's
I
going
have
to make his
experience
seat
with that.
cover.
It's
Say it
fun.
again.
Desert Dome made a system like this. I think he had 4 15s.
Mhm.
And they were on a suspended floor, crawl space underneath. And it literally, because of suspended floor, I remember this very fondly. At one of the meets we went to, the couch was bouncing across the floor. Like literally the couch was moving because the whole floor was heaving with the
Sure.
4 15s bouncing.
Sure.
They were very capable of 15s, and that was a lot of fun. So
So
sure,
he's
do it.
so he's probably not necessarily near field at that point. Is that right?
His were not even near field. It was
Right.
making the whole floor heave.
But I think that's what he's saying, though. He's wanting to do infinite baffle near field. I don't know if that would necessarily be considered near field, but it still would probably be an incredible experience for sure.
I think if it's directly under the seat, it could be near field because you'd probably be within, the driver diameter of your
could be
rear
18.
end.
Okay.
It could be pretty good.
Probably
but
depends on how big your butt is too.
How tall your chairs are and lots of things. Sure.
How heavy you are, how you sink down. If you got, all right, we'll move on. I think it'd be awesome, dude. All right, Chris Contra's last question of the night. What is the difference between sound absorbers and sound diffusers? Great question, Chris. I'll let you guys hit that one. I've talked a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically in the name. Absorbent is going to absorb higher than a certain frequency typically. Like the thinner it is, the higher the frequency that absorbs. And a diffuser is meant to have either hard or slats potentially. So you got absorption and diffusion type styles. So some of it absorbs, some diffuse. They can be different shapes. They can be block shapes where they're different, like geometry, so that it reflects differently. The idea being that you're either absorbing the frequencies that are hitting it, or you're kind of reflecting it in a different angle than just a straight angle with a different type of diffusers. Like they usually have a geometric shape that makes it not go straight out from when it comes in, like not a straight reflection. Acoustically, diffusers are more preferred in general these days. Absorption used to be all the rage, but diffusers kind of tend to be more looked highly upon on the forums these days, as far as I read.
Mm-hmm. Nothing wrong. And a lot of guys have both. They'll have some absorption in certain spots. Like for me, my first reflection point, I didn't like having a combo panel like what Jonathan's talking about. It has absorption and reflection. It just sounded weird to me. And because I've always had these panels here, which are just absorption, these right back here. So it was weird to my ear, and it was almost too spacious, if that makes sense. And so I wanted to kill those first reflection points, let that stop those high frequencies. But then the rest of my panels are diffusion or combo panels, actually, except for my ceiling. I've got absorption up there, and they're a lot thicker. So cool, man. Well, we are 2 hours, 11 minutes. We are 10 days away from Midwest AV Experience. We're going to get Ryan's blood pressure up here before we wrap up the show. If you guys are in the area, we'd love to have you join us July 14th through the 16th. Got all the details on the website, MidwestAVExperience.com. Kyle, Life of Bliss was on the show earlier. He's going to have some big boy subwoofers there from GSG Audio, Stereo Integrity. We got a bunch of great brands that are going to be there. We're going to have a lot of fun doing some comparisons, projector comparisons, speaker comparisons, subwoofer. We're just going to have a lot of fun. So it's going to be a blast. If you can make it, we would love to. So Jonathan, we'll be hanging out in just another couple days, man.
Sounds good, man. I'm looking forward to it.
2 weeks, man. It's always a pleasure hanging out with you. So guys in the stream, appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for your love and support over the past 5 years that I've been doing YouTube. It's been a blast, and hopefully we provide value to you guys, answering your questions and helping you to have a better home theater experience. So guys, enjoy the 4th if you celebrate the 4th of July, and we will catch you next week, same time. Y'all have a great week.
See you guys later.